Davis, who had returned to the royal castle, couldn't wait to see Evelyn alone, as he now liked her very much. In the study, "Davis, what happened?" Elia asked Davis with a weird face. Nothing happened. No matter how I see it. You're smiling creepily from the time you entered the study. Don't tell me you have been seduced by that Vix, your future concubine." Elia almost screamed but held back at the last second. Davis now then realized that he was smiling like a fool after checking his face. Have I been seduced? Or did I fall for her by myself? No way could she have seduced me. My soul is powerful than hers, Davis thought. It's not like that, but I think I have started to like her. Davis replied sheepishly. Didn't you say that you will release her from this marriage if she doesn't like you? I did say that, but now, if she said that she didn't like me, then I will just have to make her like me. You're going to use unscrupulous means. Elia had her eyes widened. Hey, I never said that. Davis hit her head lightly while Elia pouted. I won't do that. She's not taken as far as I know. I'll try my best to win her heart. She glared at him as she asked, what if you can't? Only time will tell. Davis said with a profound expression on his face. What time will tell? You'll only bully her just like you bullied me. Elia thought hatefully. Night came as the day passed by. Davis sneaked out smoothly, as he was pretty used to this now. He made his way to the south gate, hoping to spot Harmon again. He used his soul sense to scan the area around. Fuck, he blurted out loudly as he could see many people fuck in their rooms, bath in their restrooms. His sense was mostly concentrated on women, though. He quickly pulled back his soul sense. On my soul, he held his glabella. What the hell? Why didn't these people set up stronger formations around themselves? I can see them fucking around like dogs. Arg. Why didn't the novels I read mention this before? Davis had every cell of his brain turn hostile to the authors of the web novels he read. He took a deep breath to calm himself down. This time, he used his soul sense to avoid the places where he last saw people acting indecently. His soul can extended up to 15 km. Normal peak level infant soul cultivators can only extend their soul sense up to 3 km. This again proves that Davis had a very powerful soul. Since he was in the infant soul stage, he can summon his soul out of his body. He tried to summon his soul when he was in the mid-level infant soul stage, and as a matter of fact, he was able to summon it smoothly. When he summoned his soul out of his body, he then, to his horror, realized that he couldn't control his body. He was horrified for a second before calming down, because it made sense that he was unable to control his body with his soul being outside. He then thought that he will be able to control his body after reaching a higher stage in soul cultivation. He then tried performing some techniques in the soul form. Body tempering cultivation and its related techniques were totally useless in that form. He could only unleash his soul cultivation and a bit of essence gathering cultivation. Just when a few seconds passed, Davis's eyes lit up. He finally arrived. Davis was jubilant cause he wouldn't have to waste his time anymore on this target. There was a shady silhouette in the alley, a few kms away from the south gate. That silhouette looked like it was looking for something or inspecting something. Davis knew that the silhouette was his target because his soul sense could penetrate the silhouette's concealment and disguise without even alerting it. Harmon would only find if Davis's probing was deep, like inspecting his body for a few seconds. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel a thing. This applies to all cultivators. That's why powerful soul cultivators were feared, who would want their privacy to be invaded. Davis casually moved and headed to the alley where Harmon was. After a few minutes, he arrived at that place silently. What are you searching for? Harmon, who was minding his own business, was startled. He quickly stretched his soul sense out. To his astonishment, he couldn't find anyone with his high-level infant soul stage cultivation, even after probing. Suddenly, he felt his senses telling him to dodge. He quickly dodged sideways. Splat blood gushed out of Harmon's neck in the side as he felt his neck corrode and burn. He immediately tried to suppress the rampaging energy, but to his surprise, he found out that he couldn't stop it, even though the energy going berserk inside him was of energy condensation stage. What is this? Who are you? Harman shouted fearfully as he totally lost calm. He could tell that his foe had a powerful soul cultivation. Davis deactivated his dark, concealing shroud art. He still had his disguise on. TCH. What is a vermin doing sneaking around the royal capital? Senior. Are you one of the cultivators from the royal family? I guess we are fated. There is no need to fight. Suddenly Harma's eyes glowed. What the hell is this person saying? Davis was confused but still had an indifferent expression. Senior may not believe me, but I received word from the heavens to come to this place and wait for something. Maybe someone. Since Senior is here, then it must be related to you. Harman hurriedly explained. Ah, Davis finally understood. As I expected, looks like the death note can even really whisper into one's soul and deceive them. Or did he believe himself to be a chosen one and got delusional? Since things were like this, Davis decided to play a little with his delusions before killing him for good. Haha, this was just a test. If you had failed, then the heavens had commanded me to kill you. Davis laughed in a hoarse voice. Then, did I pass? Harman asked doubtfully. What do you think? Davis approached closer to him. Since I was chosen and have successfully dodged your move, then I can say that I have at least passed. Harman deduced, but still took a step back seeing Davis near him. He was still a little fearful of the pain. Yes, you have successfully passed. Davis smiled. He was now in front of Harman. Really? Yes. Harman clenched his fists in elation. He felt that his strength was going to leap soon in a short amount of time starting from now. But I don't think the heaven requires your help anymore. So could you please die by killing yourself? Davis tried to see how far the effect of the death note can influence him. Harman, who heard that, felt that he was thrown into a pit of despair. He couldn't believe his ears. This lasted just for a moment before he tried to escape. I see it doesn't affect his personality if I don't write about that specifically, Davis thought. Harman, sadly, you cannot defy the will of the heavens. You will be paralyzed. Harman, who tried to fly away with his revolving core stage cultivation, plummeted down the alley as he crashed. What have you done to me? He tried to shout, but only incomprehensible words came out of his mouth. Then he sent him a soul transmission. Oh, that, I said that you cannot defy the will of the heaven, so you will obviously have to die. Davis casually replied, spare me. Davis stood in front of him and lifted him up. Spare you. Why didn't you do that when you massacred a whole village? When you massacred a dozen of villages? They should have said the same. No way, even if I massacred. The heavens chose me, so how could I die? Harman shouted with rage. Ah, now I get it. This person is twisted and probably broken somewhere. That kind of explains his massacring hobby, Davis thought. But hearing his self-confident, delusional statement, Davis snapped. I don't know how trash like you can think of the heavens helping you. Even if the heavens are neutral, they surely won't side with a scum like you who kills for no reason. *stab*. Davis used the silent erupting finger once more in conjunction with the first layer of extinction lightning judgment. Lightning amplification. His finger pierced into Harman's chest before exploding with the power of extinction lightning. The extinction lightning started to corrode and burn his heart as well as all his internal organs. His body convulsed on being electrocuted. Harman shouted in pain but wasn't able to move. He tried to escape using his soul, but before he could do that, a bright lance stabbed at his soul. Your fate is sealed, Davis said as he held him up. That bright lance was the technique he had gotten from the second layer of sacred luminance mist, the piercing sacred lance. It even has the power to exorcise ghosts effectively. Harman's eye went wide and froze. He died. Davis then absorbed his deceased soul and refined it using the death note. He felt his soul being rejuvenated. This amount, 2 more peak-level infant soul stage souls, and I could probably break into young soul stage quickly. His face had a look of excitement before he calmed down. Davis then stored his corpse casually with a calm and indifferent face. He activated the dark concealing shroud art and made his way out of the alley. Just when he was traversing the streets, he suddenly detected 2 more presences heading to the place where he was before. Davis narrowed his eyes. These 2 Aren't they the two sky-grade assassins from before? Why are they here? Could it be that they're going to kill a target in that direction, or are they leaving the royal capital through the south gate? Davis was curious, so he followed them stealthily. But after following those two, he saw that they stopped at the alley where he was before, investigated for a time, before returning in the direction of the Dark Earth Organization branch. Davis contemplated for a moment. He had a vague doubt on his death note. Could it be because I wrote he waits there till a certain person shows up to end his life in the death note? So even if I hadn't made a move, he would have already died from getting killed by some other person. So in this case, the death note somehow attracted those two assassins to get him killed. If that is so, then the death note is truly interesting. Davis grinned at the thought but quickly calmed down. Then I will have to be extra careful on what I write in the death note, lest I bring trouble to myself. He sighed, thinking that this death note can even act as a double-edged sword. Davis then left the area, heading towards the Dark Earth Organization branch. Once he reached that place, he deactivated the dark concealing shroud art. He used the Dark Organization badge to temporarily deactivate the illusion formation in the underground cellar. He then used the badge again to open the door to the hall. In the Dark Earth Organization branch main hall, Yellow, who was wallowing in sadness, suddenly saw Davis. He suddenly had a look of fear. "Senior dead end," he shouted and hurriedly ran to him. Davis heard that and headed towards him calmly with hands behind his back. "Is Senior here to withdraw from the mission? It might take a long time to find and kill him, but there is no need to withdraw for that reason, is there? I can wait for a long time for Senior to complete the mission. I can even wait." Afraid that Davis might withdraw from this mission, Yellow tried to come up with various kinds of reason to not make him withdraw, but before he could bullshit, Davis stopped him. "Senior, please. If you back out, then I will be punished as a result," Yellow anxiously pleaded. "I have completed the mission," Davis said calmly. "Senior, please don't withdraw from this mission. My life depends on it." Yellow looked like he was going to cry soon. Davis snapped his fingers. It made Yellow come out of his reverie and consequently turn the attention of the crowd towards him. "I said that I have completed the peak-level Earth-grade mission. This time," Davis said it slowly. Yellow's eyes went wide. He felt what Davis had said was incomprehensible. The surrounding crowd were startled as well. They then looked at him as if he was an idiot. Seeing the looks of incomprehension on the people, Davis waved his hand. A corpse flew out and crashed into Yellow. "Warg!" Yellow yelped and saw the corpse's face. His face was one of horror before gradually turning into elation. This is Harman," Yellow shouted out like an idiot. It was as if he obtained some treasure. Then a voice startled Yellow. It was Davis. Yes, you have successfully completed the mission. I'll just formally inform the receptionist, that's all. I'll get your badge and the reward soon," Yellow excitedly said and ran off. Davis waited there for a while, receiving looks of awe, astonishment, jealousy, and even other emotions. He then noticed that some people were approaching him. The two people were the two black-robed people from before. Davis entered a state of caution, but didn't show it outside. "Fellow assassin, are you the one who battled near the south gate?" the black-robed person asked. That voice made it difficult to determine the gender. Davis just stared at him before questioning them. "Who are you two?" "Oh, it was not good of us to not introduce ourselves. I am Left Sky and he is Right Sky," the other black-robed person replied. The gender of this voice was difficult to determine too. "Way to go, brother, you just revealed our gender," Right Sky complained. "And now he knows that we are siblings. How many times have I told you to call me by my nickname during work?" Left Sky rebutted. But he could have just striked that us of as good friends. He would have never known that we were twins. Right Sky shouted in anger. Hey, Davis shouted in confusion to stop them. Didn't these two just act cool before? Now why are they revealing their traits one by one, or is it just an act? His shouting attracted those two, and they turned immediately embarrassed but didn't show it outside. "What business do you have with me?" Davis asked calmly. "That is, seeing that you have completed a mission, that is quite difficult to complete. We decided to invite you to this Sky grade mission. Left Sky replied and took out a jade crystal. It was the type to hold information. Just before he gave out that jade crystal, a voice could be heard. Senior Dead End, here is your Peak Earth grade Dark Earth Organization's badge. Yellow came running like a 4-year-old child. It could be seen that he was really happy. He arrived in front of Davis, as handed the badge and the reward. Davis collected both the badge and the reward as he stored them in his space ring. Senior, you are now officially a Peak Earth grade assassin. Davis nodded his head indifferently as he turned to face Left Sky. Left Sky then gave out the scroll to Davis. Davis then opened the scroll. His expression was one of astonishment, then turned into an ironic smile. Mission: abduct Davis Laureate type. Abduction grade. Low-level Sky grade mission requirement. Peak-level Earth grade assassin and above. Description: First Prince of the Laureate Empire, aged 9. Known to be protected by elite guards of the Empire at all times. His cultivation should be around the first stage of body tempering cultivation, and essence gathering cultivation. His guard's cultivation should be around that of third stage in both the body tempering cultivation and essence gathering cultivation. Sometimes he is under even the protection of his father, the Laureate Emperor. This month is the only chance to complete this mission without much difficulty. Asterisk the person's image was attached. Asterisk reward. Low-level Sky grade Dark Organization's badge, 4,000 purple coins. Mission issuer, anonymous. What the actual fuck? Did these two just invite me to abduct myself? Davis rolled his eyes. He would have laughed out loud if it were not for his calm-headedness. So Dead End, will you work with us or move alone? So far, what kind of information have you gathered about this mission? All normal ones. If you ask our informants, they will tell you. Davis took a moment to decide before answering. I'm not doing this mission. What? Why? Left Sky and Right Sky were both dumbfounded. Just when Davis tried to give some reason for his rejection, Yellow, who was on the side, hurriedly explained. Two seniors. It isn't that Senior Dead End rejected your request. It's just that Senior Dead End doesn't like this kind of job. Yellow sadly said. Nice job. Yellow. Davis gave a thumbs up to Yellow mentally. Davis chose safety and being incognito over having fun. He was sure if he had joined that mission, then he would have to kill those two and possibly others, which would have made him suspicious if he had been the only one to remain alive. So he decided to kill them without accepting the mission, as he can remain from any suspicion that might be possibly targeted at him after he had killed them. At the most, he would have been able to have fun if he had joined that mission by seeing the incredulous looks of the dying assassins when they finally know that they had been killed by the target whom they were planning to abduct. Oh, personal preference. Then leave it then. Saying that, the twin assassins left dejectedly. Right, leave that mission. We have other Sky grade missions that might possibly fit Senior's criteria. Let's go meet the receptionist for more information. Yellow said as he went off in a direction. Davis followed him and arrived in front of the reception. Congratulations on becoming a peak-level Earth grade assassin, Dead End. The receptionist's tone was now favorable. Let me take a look at all the Sky grade missions that you have, Davis said rather indifferently. With your rank, you can only see up to low-level Sky grade missions, Dead End. Fine. The receptionist then pulled out a few jade crystals, which obviously had information on low-level Sky grade missions. Davis then probed the jade crystal with his soul sense. His expression changed into one of anger before he hid it quickly. In the jade crystals, there were also missions to abduct Clara, Diana, and even the newly born Edward. He had the urge to crush those jade crystals, but stopped himself from doing that. He could laugh it off when he saw his name in a mission, but he couldn't take it when he saw his siblings being targeted. Makes sense. If I am a target, then they are too. Wait, these are just low-level Sky grade missions. Maybe even Dad and Mom are listed in the higher grade missions. Just who is the mission issuer? It might possibly be that Emperor Tritor or that Emperor Raven for all I know. Damn it. Davis felt helpless right now. If he had known who was targeting them, then it will make it easier for him to kill whoever it was. He was not wary of famous people. He was only wary of people who hide their identities. With the death note, he could easily kill off famous people who were within his limits, but cannot do the same to people who hide their identities, as he would have to discover their identities first, which makes it a little difficult for him to kill them. He took a few seconds to calm himself down before probing into the jade crystals once again. He found some suitable missions for himself. If he was able to kill those targets, then he will be able to reach even the mid-level young soul stage sooner. After accepting multiple missions, he then left the Dark Earth Organization branch and headed off to kill a target. This target was a powerful merchant of the Lauret Empire who engages in shady business secretly. His age was over 200 years old, and his soul cultivation was that of low-level young soul stage. After Davis had used the death note to bait and kill him, it was almost dawn. He absorbed his deceased soul and refined it. He felt his soul energy increase rapidly as he absorbed the refined soul energy, and after a few minutes, he felt his soul energy reaching its limit. Just when he tried to break through, he encountered a bottleneck. Things won't be that simple, will it? Davis sighed. Seeing that it was late, he made his way to the royal castle. He decided that he would turn in the mission later tonight or tomorrow. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these few days, Davis concentrated on his efforts to break through into the young soul stage. He turned in his target's corpse on the first day and got the low-level sky-grade Dark Earth Organization's badge and 1,000 purple coins as his reward. After this, he thought of visiting Avalon before deciding to concentrate on his soul cultivation first. He felt confident in breaking through, so he stayed in seclusion in the royal castle as 3 days passed. In the evening, Davis, who was in seclusion, finally achieved low-level young soul stage. He could now feel his soul residing in his soul sea weirdly palpitate in resonance with the death note. He felt that his death note probably gained a new ability, but he wasn't in a hurry to find out, so he put the matter aside. He kind of felt immensely proud of himself for breaking through the bottleneck in 3 days before his thoughts quickly moved on to someone else. Yes, today night, I will finally visit Avalon no matter what. Just as he made his way into the study, he saw Elia cultivating there with a peaceful expression on her face. She sat in a lotus position while focusing, but it just made her look cute. It almost made him want to pinch her face, but decided not to, since her cultivation might go berserk if he had disturbed her. He just sat and watched her face with a smile on his face. He couldn't help but think her off as a cute animal. It even all the more made him want to pat her head. He hurriedly shook his head. This isn't right, I'm acting too close to her. It's almost as if we are siblings. He thought, a little disoriented. Davis unknowingly moved closer to her. He then looked at her face again. His face was at arm's length away from her face. This time his eyes involuntarily stopped at her lips. He couldn't help but feel an unknown emotion in his heart. Elia, who was cultivating, suddenly opened her eyes. She caught him staring at her lips as she felt her face burn up. Davis had seen her open her eyes, so he involuntarily made a sound. Damn, I got caught. Davis had a calm face outside, but his heart was beating slightly faster. He stood up and walked back whistling as if nothing happened. He then calmly left the study and headed to the library. Elia, who was seated there, clenched her fists in embarrassment. Her face still didn't stop burning up. What was that? What was he doing so close to my face? Why did he keep staring at me? Thoughts swirled around her head as she entered her own world of delusions. After that, she couldn't get into the mood to cultivate no matter how she tried. Davis, who was on his way to the library, chanted in his head, I'm not a lollican, I'm not a lollican, I'm not a lollican, I'm not a lollican. He kept chanting it as he noticed a slight problem in the lower part of his body. I've hit puberty, he thought wryly. He would have been happier at the fact that he had hit puberty, but the situation that he had found out in made him hide in a hole. He felt weird since morning, but as he was cultivating his soul, he put the matter at the back of his head, which now led to his embarrassment. Anyway, this is bad, and just when I am going to meet Avalon. I hope I don't make stupid decisions at her place. He felt that someone was playing with his life. He was determined to not let his lower part of the body influence his thoughts. Davis then arrived at the library to pass his time. He reads some information on how to use his soul effectively and read about some miscellaneous information which could possibly be useful one day. Night finally arrived. For the first time, Davis felt that he had never waited so much in his life. He left the royal castle and made his way to the Cultivation Emporium. The Cultivation Emporium was still open. Cultivator stores are normally open during the night, as well as they don't require much sleep, but are keen on their profits. Davis wore a black robe as he activated his dark concealing shroud art to conceal his aura, but not his presence. He then entered the Cultivation Emporium casually. The staff saw him come inside, but they didn't go disturb him since he was dressed in a black robe. Black-robed people usually conceal their identity and don't want to be disturbed unless they require some help, so they didn't opt to go near him. He then made his way to the Cultivation pill store straight away, without taking any detour. Just when he entered the Cultivation pill store, he was greeted by the same young lady he met last time. "Dear customer, how may I help you?" Davis had a headache. He didn't want to reveal his voice, or his disguised voice either. He just pointed at the pills kept in a shelf randomly. "Oh, what kind of pill do you like, senior?" He ignored her, went to grab the catalog that was placed on the desk near the entrance. The young lady got mad and started to ignore him, as well as she went minding her own business. She only approached Davis to get acquainted and earn a sum from the commission if he bought something. Meanwhile, he used his soul to probe around the Cultivation pill store. He was confident that with his soul cultivation, no one could detect his probing here, unless they had an adult soul stage expert hidden here. He got sight of Avelin's location, so he broke the jade crystal silently when no one was looking. Avelin, who was cultivating with all her mind in a room, was just about to swallow the pill which Davis gave in her mouth. She felt something break in her space ring. She got it out, and it was the pieces of the jade crystal. "He's here." Avelin's eyes went wide. He really came, but how? With all those guards assigned to him, he managed to sneak out. Or did he come with some other people? Avelin had her doubts, but she quickly got up and headed to the hall of the Cultivation pill store. But she suddenly stopped right at the door of her room. "No, if I go receive him personally, then people will suspect us," she thought. "Miss, where are you going?" Maisie asked. "Maisie, go invite a certain person who is in the hall of our Cultivation pill store to my room." "But miss, who exactly should I invite?" Maisie asked in confusion. Avelin contemplated for a moment before answering. "You just stand there in the main hall. That certain person will probably come to you." "This, okay," Maisie replied in confusion before heading out herself. Davis, who was waiting there, was browsing the catalog as if he won't accept anyone's help, finally saw a young girl coming from a certain direction. He recognized her as Avelin's servant. He then saw her being fidgety and looking around for some reason. "Is she possibly searching for me?" Davis thought. He closed the catalog and then approached her. It didn't take long for him to stand in front of her. Maisie, who saw the black-robed person, asked nervously, "Are you?" Davis just nodded his head. He thought she was going to ask if she was Prince Davis, so he quickly nodded his head. He didn't know that she was just going to ask if he was the person her young miss wanted to invite. Maisie then nodded and said, "My young miss invited you to her room. Please follow me." She then left in a certain direction. Davis then followed her. He knew where she was going, but he couldn't just go alone. After a few minutes, they arrived in front of a door. She opened it while he went in. She then followed him inside. Suddenly, Davis and Avelin, who saw each other, started giggling together for no reason. Maisie, who saw this, couldn't understand. She could tell from the laughing voice that the other party was a male. Davis, who saw Avelin smiling, did not waste time and got to the point, as he doesn't know how long he could stay here. "Miss Avelin, I've come to propose to you officially." Avelin was startled. It was just as she thought. He liked her for some reason now. "No, young miss is already engaged. You can't propose to her." Maisie defended as she stood in front of Avelin. They both were startled. Davis looked at Evelyn only to see her laugh gently. "You finally came, my love," Evelyn said teasingly and winked at Davis. He got the underlying meaning in her wink. This woman really has guts and can keep her calm. She even dares to make misunderstandings and is a little playful. Davis thought, "Oh my Evelyn, how long has it been till I last saw you?" He extended his hand, playing along. "It has been too long, my love." She took his hand, betting on the fact that he won't do anything to her. "Miss, you are having an affair." "No way." Maisie, who saw this, got really confused that she started pulling at her hair. They both then laughed together, seeing that she was tricked. Maisie got even more confused, so Davis finally stopped his act and removed his hood. You are that Br. Prince Davis." Maisie almost blurted out, but she quickly held her tongue. "Did this girl just call me a brat?" Davis's eye twitched. Evelyn just smiled at the sight. Davis, who also saw that, was thankful to Maisie for creating a good atmosphere. He didn't know how to create an atmosphere for her to comfortably talk with him after all. "Do you now get it?" Maisie Evelyn asked her calmly. Yes, Maisie was embarrassed for her misunderstanding. "Prince Davis, do you have another black robe?" Evelyn asked. "I do have, but for what?" She didn't answer him but spoke to Maisie. "Maisie, wear that black robe and wander around our Cultivation emporium for some time. Here, wear this too." Evelyn removed her amulet and gave it to Maisie. It had the power to conceal one's aura. Davis also took an unused black robe and gave it to her now that he had understood her plan. It was to act as him for a while. Maisie wore it and went out from the room. She now knew that they were meeting secretly. "Now, Prince Davis, as you requested, we are all alone." Evelyn smiled. "Alone seems like it." Davis probed around with his soul sense, so he knew. But there was no need to send her out too. "No, Maisie is talkative, so she will definitely interfere with our conversation, which might possibly anger you, Prince." "Then you have my thanks," Davis said. "It's my pleasure, please sit down." She then sat at a table. Davis also took his seat. "Now that we are alone, are you not afraid that I will do anything to you?" Davis grinned as he asked. Since she seemed like a playful type, he teased her. What can the prince possibly do to harm me?" "Maybe you have your guards outside the Cultivation emporium." "No." "Oh, this woman thinks that I got here with an entourage." "Well, I'm not going to correct her either." "Haha, Miss Evelyn sure is perceptive. This is only normal," Evelyn said as she poured a cup of tea for Davis. Davis took the tea and probed it. Seeing that there were nothing harmful in it, he drank. It doesn't hurt him to be cautious after all. "Why?" she asked suddenly. Davis spat out the tea at the side. He thought that she found out his probing of the tea. "Why did you say that?" Evelyn had a complex face when she asked that. She didn't mind that action of his. Now Davis knew what she had asked. "Miss Evelyn, I started liking you, so I am a little serious about this marriage." Davis replied truthfully. "Leaving aside why, I'll ask when. When did you start liking me?" Evelyn had her eyes narrowed, her gaze sharp. "From the moment I met you," he said calmly. "You lie," she sighed. "No, that is the truth," he strongly replied. "Why does this feel like an interrogation?" Davis had a vague doubt. "Then why did you ask me to consider our marriage when we first met?" She made a sound of dissatisfaction as she asked. Davis then said seriously, "At that time, I felt that you were clearly against this marriage, so I spoke up. And now," she questioned again, "now I realize that I like you very much. So will you accept this proposal?" Davis asked with a glint in his eyes. "Isn't that selfish?" Evelyn laughed sarcastically. "Yes, it is. I want you for myself," Davis replied shamelessly. What if I refuse?" She narrowed her eyes again. "Then I can only work hard to change your mind. I am sure that I will somehow make you like me." He grinned as he said. After a few moments of tension and silence, Evelyn unknowingly, visibly relaxed. "This woman, she's acting tough. Is she treating me as an adult?" "No, she is treating me as her future." "Makes sense that she is this serious about it." Davis was watching her every expression to find out what she was thinking, and he could only rely on his perception to do so. If only Clara were here, it would be way easy to hold an advantage in a conversation. Davis sighed. "But in this case, I can see her ruining this marriage 100%. He laughed to himself. Asterisk cough asterisk so, what is your answer, Miss Evelyn? There's no way I can give it so soon, not without knowing much about you. Evelyn glared at his shamelessness, but somehow she liked it. Maybe because he is cute, she thought. You have a point. I wish to know more about you as well. If we have the opportunity, then we'll tour around the royal capital one day. She never expected him to invite her to take her out, so it was kind of a surprise for her as she fell silent. The room again got silent and awkward. Ha, I wonder what cultivation level has Miss Evelyn reached? Davis randomly asked a question. Nothing that can catch your eye. Suddenly, her voice changed to an icy tone. Oi, it's not like I asked your weight. Davis's eye twitched. Seeing that he chanced upon a bad topic, he tried to say something. He quickly then glanced around to search for a topic and said to her, I guess I disturbed Miss Evelyn's cultivation session. It's no wonder that you are angry with me for asking about your cultivation, Davis said with an all-knowing tone, but he then later panicked as he realized that this was also a topic concerning to her cultivation. What perception? Evelyn thought, her eyes wide. But he already knew that she was cultivating when he probed around with his soul sense when he first came here. But hearing his tone, something in Evelyn finally snapped. You just want to know my cultivation, don't you? In fact, you already know it, right? You want to make fun of me as well. All right, I have only reached peak level copper stage, peak level energy condensation stage. Miserable, right? At my age, with my status, I should have at least reached the third stage in both by now. Go ahead and laugh. Laugh all you want. She had tears in her eyes. She waved her hands as she said, What young mistress of the Caldun family? What I am blessed to be married to the prince. Does my opinion even matter in my family? I am just outright being sold off to you. Tears dropped like a fountain from her eyes as she looked at him in grievance. Davis was extremely dumbfounded. One moment she acted mischievous, another moment she acted tough, and another moment she cried. He couldn't say if it was act or not, but seeing her cry, he felt sad for some reason. He didn't have a deep relationship with her. He felt that any consolation at this point would just feel like formality. Davis looked at her with a complex expression and said comfortingly, You've worked hard. Evelyn froze. He just left her with that sentence, as remaining here shamelessly would make her even more embarrassed. All those years, she tried so hard to cultivate, even though her talent was subpar at best. She would cultivate day and night, sometimes even without resting for a month. Compared to many geniuses, her talent was trash. If she wasn't the family head's daughter, then she would not even be a respected member of her family. With her looks, at best she would have been sold off to someone in the name of marriage. No one had acknowledged her hard work other than Maisie. Almost everyone looked at her like an object to increase the status of their family. At that moment, she truly felt content and acknowledged as she cried out her grievances. On the way to the royal castle, Davis was feeling truly bad. He felt like he made her cry. He felt like he shouldn't have acted selfish and like a dick. He didn't knew that her cultivation was her sore spot. If he had knew, then he wouldn't have dared to ask. Now he knew that woman was putting up a front in front of everybody. All the while she bears a huge burden in her heart. He even could tell that she had an inferiority complex about her talent and cultivation. Is it too bad to be a little forceful? He thought as he shook his head. But what he didn't know was that sentence he uttered had helped him increase his impression on her to the next level. Midway he suddenly stopped. Damn it, I don't feel good. He got angry and took out a jade crystal. Sorry, looks like your death date is moved to today. He thought coldly as he headed to assassinate the target. Originally, he planned to kill them from tomorrow, but decided to take his anger out on them today. Davis, like before, baited and killed the target while also getting some fighting experience. He also implemented a failsafe plan in case his target tried to escape just like before. After he had successfully assassinated the target and absorbed the deceased soul, he felt getting one step closer to the next level in soul cultivation. He felt like he can make his soul cultivation experience leaps and bounds as long as he had the death note and the appropriate souls. He then made his way back to the royal castle as it was almost dawn. Days passed as he went on killing his targets one by one. He almost became a legend in the Dark Earth organization for his efficiency and credibility for killing his targets. He felt like he couldn't talk with Evelyn because he felt awkward when seeing her. But still, he wanted to talk once after that. But he just couldn't find her because she went back to her manor. 20 days passed as he killed off 8 low-level sky-grade mission targets. Almost 4 of them had low-level young soul stage cultivation, while the others had peak-level infant soul stage cultivation. During these 20 days, he found no one targeting him or his siblings all the night as an assassin, so he failed to finish off any sky-grade cultivators who might possibly come for them. He felt that this was weird, since this was the perfect opportunity to target him and his siblings, since Logan was out of the royal capital. He had also tried to find out what was the new ability of the Death Note, but he couldn't find it to no avail. He almost doubted whether, if his Death Note had been granted a new ability or not, also whether if it had stopped evolving or not. Regardless, he successfully achieved mid-level young soul stage after the execution that he had performed, then increased his cultivation to peak-level iron stage and peak-level energy condensation stage. From this, he understood that he needed the soul of at least 5 mid-level young soul stage experts to advance to the next stage. Fortunately, his Death Note was extremely helpful in that regard. The royal capital was in panic as powerful people kept dying one by one. But those powerful people were the targets Davis had killed without any mercy. So he was not in fear at all, but that can't be said to be same of other people. Davis understood that his actions were of tantamount to declaring war against evil people and organizations, but he did it anyway as no one would be able to find his identity unless they were to bring in some adult soul stage cultivators. He also understood that his actions attracted his father indirectly, as his father was the emperor. This made his father leave a little sooner from the Alfred Kingdom. Logan was on his way to the royal capital after he had heard about a powerful assassin known as Dead End, who always kills his target without fail. But he was not anxious because he knew that his targets were all scums and degenerates, and definitely wouldn't be his family. So Logan was worried but not anxious. He was worried that the strength of the royal capital would further decline as powerful cultivators would leave, fearing the assassin, regardless if they were degenerates or not. So he left a little sooner to put a stop to this assassin known as Dead End, even though he felt a little thankful to him for clearing the royal capital of vermin. It was dawn. Davis, who had just returned from his hunt, knew that he wouldn't be able to sneak out anymore due to his father coming home sometime today. He headed to the study to finally take some rest, even sleep. He felt kind of exhausted for not sleeping for more than 20 days. He went a hunt, cultivated all 3 cultivation systems, which took a huge toll on his body. He wanted to improve as much as possible before his father returned. Cultivators don't need that much sleep, but it is still a process that one enjoys. So even cultivators have the habit of sleeping from time to time. Ah, damn, I'm so exhausted. A good sleep will rejuvenate me. Even though it is almost morning, cultivators didn't care for the time they slept. Just as he opened the door to the study, he saw Elia. Lightning cracked as sparks of electric currents swirled around Elia. She was seated in a lotus position, with a serious expression on her face. Davis had a happy expression on his face. She's breaking through to the next stage. Very good. A few minutes passed before the lightning which sparkled around her subsided, and her face returned to a calm expression. Then when she checked her cultivation, her expression was one of elation. Davis smiled as he said, "Elia, congrats on breaking through the energy condensation stage." She nodded her head, still in elation. Suddenly, a powerful soul sense probed the royal castle. "Oh, looks like Dad is back." Davis was startled before he recognized the soul sense's aura. Even though Davis was just in mid-level young soul stage, he could detect being probed by a low-level adult soul stage cultivator. He could even probably detect probing from a mid-level adult soul stage cultivator, since his soul is so powerful. Davis was sure that he can fight his dad equally, if they just fought with their soul cultivation. The Emperor is. Elia widened her eyes. Davis rubbed his chin as he spoke. Yes, and it looks like that we got caught. Elia's face turned pale. Logan, who returned with his entourage, floated above the royal castle. The first thing he did was not return, but extended his soul sense to scan around the royal castle for any abnormalities. He saw Claire together with Diana and Edward in her room, Clara cultivating alone in her room, and Davis in his study with Elia. Seeing that there were no abnormalities, he removed his soul sense and relaxed but frowned. The cultivation technique that Davis's maid trains in resembles the extinction lightning judgment. Sigh, what on earth is he thinking? But he soon sighed. Then he entered the royal castle through the entrance as many greeted him. As he walked past them like an emperor, he straightway headed for the throne hall. As the master of ceremonies announced the return of the emperor, it echoed throughout the royal castle like thunder. Claire, Clara, Davis, and all who heard that headed to the throne hall. Seeing that his family and his subordinates all came to pay respects to him, he nodded his head. The royal family can be cozy all they want in an informal occasion, but in a formal occasion such as this, they have to give their respects and be formal to their emperor. Logan exchanged a few pleasantries with his subordinates as few minutes passed by. Suddenly, a guard came running in the throne hall with hurried steps. The guard then hurriedly reported, "Emperor, a black-robed man with unknown origins claims to know where the traitors of the rebellion are. He currently is in front of the entrance of our royal castle, awaiting your majesty's permission." Let him in. Logan's eyes glowed. He couldn't wait to finish off those two bastards. Yes, the guard hurriedly relayed to the people below. After a few minutes, a black-robed man walked into the throne room with calm steps. He then bowed. "Who are you? And do you know the whereabouts of those two traitors?" Hendrickson asked the black-robed man with an interrogative expression. The black-robed man didn't say anything, but just waved his hand. Thud, a corpse with a hole in its chest suddenly fell on the floor of the royal castle. Immediately, everyone was alarmed and extended their perception to the corpse. Logan also extended his perception over to the corpse, but refrained from probing the black-robed man as it would be considered rude. This is Cooper Hawkwood," Hendrickson shouted. Everyone's eyes went wide, including Logan. Hendrickson was just about to ask a few questions when suddenly Davis approached the black-robed man. Seeing Davis approach the black-robed man, he immediately probed the black-robed man with his soul sense, as he couldn't care less about being rude anymore. Just when he probed, the black-robed man suddenly moved and rushed to where Davis was. Davis, who saw that, quickly moved back as guards near him hurriedly rushed to defend him. "Case, you bastard, you dare!" Logan's eyes went wide as he shouted in fury and hurriedly cast a soul attack. Swirling currents of bright ocean quickly submerged Case as he shouted in agony. His soul was ground by swirling currents of sharp needle as he collapsed. It didn't even take a few seconds for him to die. What Logan used was the fourth layer technique of the sacred luminance mist, celestial needle ocean. It is a highly destructive technique, which can even pierce through soul defenses to attack the soul of a person. It is also used as an area of effect attack, used to attack multiple opponents at the same time, but it was slower than the second layer technique of the sacred luminance mist, sacred piercing lance. Although it was slow, Logan wasn't sure if his sacred piercing lance can kill him in one hit, so he used the celestial needle ocean for a sure hit kill. And fortunately, it was successful since the distance between the two of them was small. Logan heaved a sigh of relief. I can't believe that he used his own comrade as a means to delay our reaction, as he planned to abduct or kill Davis. Claire, who was beside Davis, said with a serious expression. She felt as if she had failed her duties to protect her children. Fortunately, he failed. Logan sighed. "Davis, why did you go closer to him? Didn't you think that it could be dangerous?" Logan asked with a questioning gaze. I felt his gaze on me after he took out the corpse, so I moved closer to investigate him. He suddenly attacked me, but don't worry. I was cautious the whole time. That's why I quickly pulled back. I know, don't try to do something so stupid later, Claire said as she berated Davis. All right, Mom. Logan and Claire then moved to take care of the matter of those two corpses. Clara, who was there, couldn't detect any lies from her brother, so she gazed at those two corpses curiously. Davis, who was alone, slowly looked down and grinned secretly. Just as planned, this whole scenario was orchestrated by him, but he didn't think it would go this well. Before Davis returned to the royal castle, he instructed Case to do as he said, and it worked without a hitch. He ordered him to come to the royal castle, seeking an audience with the emperor, using a certain information when he notices. The emperor returned to the royal castle. Case Farnwin, who was on the lookout the whole time, noticed the commotion in the royal castle and made his move. He then did what Davis instructed him to do one by one. When arriving at the entrance of the royal castle, he was ordered to say that he had information on those two traitors and request an audience with the emperor. Then he was ordered to wait for the permission of the emperor to go inside the royal castle. Next, when he was in the throne room, he was ordered to throw out Cooper's corpse and gaze at a little boy when someone asked him a question. Finally, he was then ordered to attack the little boy when he sees one approaching him, which ultimately led to his death. Davis did all this because he wanted his father to be the one to avenge his deceased family, so that his father could let go of a burden in his heart. A day passed after that incident. Logan felt a burden in his heart disappear. He took care of the matter of those two traitors. He saw that Cooper had a hole in his chest, so he didn't suspect anything at all. That hole was created by Case's power, so he wasn't suspicious. Davis did order Case to put a hole in Cooper's chest way before he entered the royal castle yesterday. After taking care of these matters, Logan probed the whole royal capital with his senses as he moved to each location, but he couldn't find dead end at all. All he found was a few assassins lurking near the royal castle as he killed them later. The assassins he killed included those two assassins who were named Left Sky and Right Sky, but Davis didn't know that at all. If he knew, then that would have removed a headache for him. Elia, are you ready? Davis asked as he touched. Yes, Elia replied with a soft voice. Her petite body was trembling. I'm entering now, Davis said with a confident expression on his face. Creek Davis opened the door to the emperor's quarters. As he went inside with Elia. Father, as you requested, I came with Elia. Logan, who was seated near his desk, nodded his head. Yesterday, after the incident, Davis was asked by his father to visit his room as he wanted to talk with him about something. He was also then told to bring Elia along with him. Davis, demonstrate your cultivation for me. Logan said that as he rested his chin on his hands, Davis nodded his head and demonstrated his cultivation for him to see. Black lightning sparkled around Davis as he emitted his energy from his body. Then his body emitted a gray aura as the pressure from his body that was being generated increased. Excellent. You have reached peak level iron stage and peak level energy condensation stage. Logan's expression was one of proudness. To have reached peak level iron stage in a few months from mid-level iron stage. Davis worked hard during the day to cultivate his body. He had the required resources, so he concentrated on quickly increasing his body cultivation these few months. Davis didn't show his soul cultivation since Elia was here as well. Logan didn't ask him to demonstrate it either. It was a tacit understanding between them. Logan then turned his head towards Elia. Elia, who saw that, immediately started trembling again. She clenched her fists as she tried to calm down, but to no avail. She couldn't. Elia, was it? Why? Yes, demonstrate your cultivation too. Elia gulped as she stayed silent. What's wrong? As the prince's maid, you have the duty to protect his life and also take care of his needs. I heard that your talent was good, so I wanted to see what kind of cultivation level you have reached. She looked at Davis, only to see him nod his head gently with a smile on his face. Seeing that she also nodded a little and demonstrated her cultivation with determination. Lightning sparkled around Elia as she emitted energy from her body. It was a flash of normal lightning, tinged with a small extinction attribute, as she didn't have a lightning elemental like Davis. After that, her body's aura emitted brown-red color, as the pressure from her body radiated a tyrant kind of aura. Logan nodded his head and commented, "Not bad for a maid, but do you understand now that you are even more indebted to the royal family?" Yes, she looked at the emperor and replied with a brave front, "Good, you can leave now. I want to talk to my son alone." Elia bowed and silently withdrew as she quickly walked away from the room. After she went out, there were a few moments of silence before Davis asked, "Aren't you going to ask me about it, father?" Logan said with a calm face, "Why? I believe that you have your own reasoning to train her with our monopolized techniques. I trust your decision." Father, Davis was moved. He thought he would have a big fight with his father just now, but he didn't expect that he would let them off this easily. "Don't give me that look. If the deceased royal family was still alive, you would have been executed for handing our secret techniques to a mere maid. But since I'm the emperor now, I get to decide the rules, and since you're my son, you get a lot of leeway at that." Logan grinned with a profound expression on his face. "Just make sure that those techniques don't get leaked for some reason." Logan then frowned. Davis chuckled. "I will, that goes without saying." Logan then nodded his head, satisfied with the answer his son gave. "And what was it that you said that you wanted to talk to me before?" Davis then asked, curious as to why his father called him here. "Yes, that was the main reason I called you here," Logan replied as he took a deep breath. "Do you know how I met your mother? Do you know how we fell in love with each other? My mother." "Father, did you just call me here to talk about your love story?" Davis chuckled. "Haven't you ever thought about your mother's parents? Haven't you ever thought about why your mother doesn't talk about her origins?" "Huh. Maybe because my mother's parents are dead." He more or less assumed it like this, since his mother frowned upon anything related to her origins. Logan shook his head. Davis got a bad feeling about this. "Why are you now suddenly asking this? You met the Ruth Empire's empress, right?" Logan didn't answer but asked a question instead. I remember, Empress Isabella Ruth." Davis nodded his head. His mind couldn't help but trail off to a glamorous world. Why is he bringing her up now? It can't be that she is my mother's sister or something like that, right? He thought incredulously. Rumor has it that she reached the fabled 6th stage and successfully left the continent. Logan suddenly dropped an explosive news that ringed like a bell in Davis's ears. "Impossible. Isn't our continent sealed by a barrier, which makes it hard for people above the 5th stage to enter? Maybe if you see it from the outside world's perspective, our continent is almost like a secret realm." Davis shouted in disbelief. "It seems like the barrier only restricts outsiders, and not the ones who are born on this continent." "Even so, how did she reach the 6th stage, which is really difficult to reach here?" "I told you right, that she got an inheritance. It must have been really powerful." Davis finally nodded his head in understanding. "It's no wonder that she could reach the throne so soon at her age, even when her predecessors are still alive. It looks like her ambitions are much higher than conquering a lousy continent. Good for us, though." Logan commented, a little jealous of her strength. "And what does that have to do with my mother?" Davis looked at him and questioned as he vaguely understood but wasn't sure of it. Logan said in a solemn tone, "Your mother is not of our continent." Davis widened his eyes and clenched his fists, because he knew that if the Grand Sea continent were to know about it, then she would be targeted from all the empires. "You know that every 15 years is the opening of our realm for the outsiders, right?" Logan held Davis's shoulders. "Yes, during the opening of the realm, various 5th stage and lower cultivators swarm like bees to invade the continent, but luckily, all the forces of the continent join hands every 15 years temporarily to stop their invasion. 5th stage experts of the continent are very few and less nowadays. That's why they don't take part in wars and instead defend the continent from the outsiders. The next opening of our realm is," he continued, "in 2 years, right? So you met Mother 13 years ago." Davis interjected, "Very perceptive, yes. 13 years ago was when our realm last opened to the outsiders." Logan nodded. He then smiled. "She and I were originally enemies, but fate played us together. but I am very thankful for the heavens for that as well. I won't go detailed into our past, but your mother forbids herself from returning to her homeland, severing her martial career. She made a cruel choice on herself to stay with me. That's why I want you to be just like Empress Isabella Ruth, who carves a path for herself." By the time he finished the sentence, Logan held Davis's shoulder tightly. "Make yourself strong, stronger than me, stronger than everybody, so that you would make your mom immensely proud." "I will," Davis answered with fervor and determination. "Then once you are high above, return to our continent and prove that your mom's decision at that time was not wrong." Yes, Davis's blood boiled as he clenched his fists. Logan calmed down before saying, "In a year, the Grand Sea Continent meet will take place. I want you to join it just like I joined and got the first place before." Wasn't Empress Isabella Ruth stronger than you?" Davis asked in confusion. "She was probably receiving her inheritance at that time, so she didn't show up for the competition." Logan grinned and said, "Oh, what's so great about the competition for me to participate in it?" Davis wanted to know why he should participate in a competition that he wasn't interested at all. "There is another entrance," Logan suddenly said. "What? Another?" Davis's eyes went wide. "Yes, and it only allows people below 30 of bone age to pass through that entrance," Logan said. His tone was one of disappointment. "So, the competition is for choosing the young hero to stop the invasion of the outsiders in that entrance." "Yes, spots will be handed out for the top 200 geniuses to enter that entrance." "Ah, so the powerful people are monopolizing the loot they get from the invaders." "I understand." Davis laughed sarcastically as he understood. "Yes, this is how the world works, but it won't be so easy to kill a genius from the outsiders, as they have escaped talismans." "While we don't," Logan said in a grave tone. "I see." Davis shrugged because it didn't matter if they had escaped talismans or not. He can kill them in an instant after all. Even if they have looted, it'll only be the worth of mid-level sky grade and lower, but not higher. "Wait, then why don't you guys just soul-search their minds for their cultivation techniques and information about their homeland?" "We tried, but all their souls have been sealed by higher powers from leaking information. They can't even divulge even if they wanted to share their information." "Even Mom?" Davis asked as he clenched his fists. "Yes, that's why I wanted you to get stronger since you have a powerful soul. If it's you, then I can be assured that you can remove the seal from her soul sooner. And I believe that you can grow stronger than anyone else in a short period of time," Logan said, as if he had blind confidence in his son. "Why do you say so?" Davis narrowed his eyes as he felt it be fishy. "Your soul has grown much stronger, and that amulet isn't powerful enough to block my probing. So I obviously know that you have at least reached the young soul stage." Logan looked smugly at Davis as if he won a battle against him. "Haha, looks like I got caught. I thought I would give you a surprise during the competition," Davis said, a little glad. He failed to consider the amulet's power for blocking people from probing. "Looks like it couldn't block an adult soul stage's soul sense." "Don't be stupid. If I didn't know, then I wouldn't send you to the competition at all in the first place. Your safety is the most important after all," Logan berated him. "And above all else, you are only 9 years old," Logan said with a grin. Davis and Logan then looked at each other with an underlying meaning in it. Davis was thankful that his father didn't ask about how he managed to increase his soul cultivation quickly. Logan obviously understood faintly that even if he asked Davis, he wouldn't answer this question. So Logan didn't ask about it, or else it would have made things awkward between them. A week passed by. News spread as the royal family of the Lauret Empire announced the participation of the first prince in the Grand Sea Continent meet. The news brought shame and disappointment to the citizens of the Lauret Empire, as they were mocked by others for not having a genius cultivator, but have no choice but to rely on a 9-year-old kid to represent them in the Grand Sea Continent meet. Is our emperor sane? Why is our emperor sending a 9-year-old kid to participate in that competition? It's not like they have a choice. The royal family was almost decimated after all. Last time, it was our emperor who managed to grab the first place in the Grand Sea Continent meet. So our emperor surely has a plan to make that 9-year-old kid get into the top 200. Right. Conversations like this were heard throughout the empire. Logan didn't care one bit to explain, as he knew that his son would ace the tournament with almost no effort. Instead, he looked forward to the amusing reactions of many people in the tournament a year from now. But the other empires didn't think the same. They all thought that Emperor Lorit was at his wit's end, so he had no choice but to send his first son to be a laughingstock. The Grand Sea Continent meet was also a competition to show off the strength of their sky-grade empires, sects, and organizations. They would take it very seriously, as this matter contains their honor and pride. Here, the young elites take this stage very seriously, as their fates could change if they were to rank in the top 200. Especially the young elites of the various sky-grade empires took this competition very seriously, as it holds a greater meaning and honor for their empires. What they aim for is not the top 200 but the top 3. Logan didn't need to worry about his empire's safety anymore. As the Grand Sea Continent meet is approaching, nobody would dare to attack other empires at this time, as they all ceased any conflicts between them till the closing of the continent for the outsiders. So Logan arranged a sky-grade alchemist to teach Davis about alchemy openly. With Davis's soul cultivation, he was positive that Davis wouldn't need much time to learn about alchemy. As one's soul cultivation increases, the amount of information that they can take in and recall will increase as well. In Davis's case, even if he read 1,000,000 books, he could still remember it clearly. And finally, today was the day when that sky-grade alchemist would arrive at the royal castle. Davis was anxiously waiting for his new teacher, as he wasn't confident about his alchemy skills. He didn't have one, neither did he read about one. This was totally a new subject to him. Even in his previous life, his cooking skills were subpar at best. Even though he was encouraged by his parents now, he was still feeling worried but not nervous. Davis headed to the throne hall with calm steps. When he got to the throne hall, he saw a middle-aged man greeting his father. Except for his father and that middle-aged man, no one was there currently in the throne hall. The middle-aged man was almost 6 feet tall. His black hair cascaded down like a waterfall. His face was amiable with calm features, which made him easily approachable as he kept a smiling appearance. He wore a normal alchemist robe. Drop the formalities, Alchemist Highwood. I am very honored to invite your esteemed self to teach my ignorant son about alchemy. I'm not even one of the members of Alchemist Association. How could I dare to drop formalities when meeting an emperor of a sky-grade empire? Alchemist Highwood replied with an indifferent tone. Logan laughed as he said, "You surely jest, Alchemist Highwood. Everyone knows that you are only second compared to the head of the Alchemist Association. I'm sure you had your own reasons for not joining the Alchemist Association." Logan added, "That is not a big secret. Everyone knows that the current Alchemist Association is corrupt to its bones. If I entered that, I wouldn't even know where my corpse would be even buried." Alchemist Highwood replied with a disgusted expression on his eyes. Alchemist Highwood disdained the ways of the Alchemist Association. Their ways were one of tyranny and high-handedness. Of course, and that's why I don't want my child to be taught by those hypocritical people. Logan replied in scorn. "This emperor, is it true about what you said?" Suddenly Alchemist Highwood asked nervously. He didn't dare to believe what Logan said to him when he got invited. To make sure of it, he came in haste. "It's Abs. Oh, looks like my son is here. Why don't you ask him yourself, Alchemist Highwood?" Logan laughed figuratively. Alchemist Highwood turned his head to see a kid who was almost 5 feet tall approach him. He widened his eyes in shock. My, mid-level young soul stage. Alchemist Highwood stood there like a sculpted statue as he muttered silently. Davis made no effort to hide his cultivation, so Alchemist Highwood was easily able to see his cultivation. Alchemist Highwood stayed rooted for a short period of time before his face widened in utter delight. The first Prince Davis Lorit, was it? I can now see why Emperor Lorit decided to make you participate in the Grand Sea Continent meet. Alchemist Highwood sighed. First, it was Empress Ruth and now you. Young talents are leaving us in the dust like it's none of their business. And that makes me feel so old. Prince Davis Laureate, please allow me to be your alchemy teacher. Alchemist Highwood said as he bowed his head. Davis, who was watching this, thought wryly. Isn't it supposed to be the opposite? Teacher, there's no need to do that. When I'm the one learning from you, this is bad. Davis awkwardly said. That would be the case if I were your master, but I'm your teacher. In fact, a talent such as you, I'm ashamed to take you in as my direct disciple. I'm not worthy. But teacher, it isn't lie. Davis saw that Alchemist Highwood wasn't arrogant and instead placed himself below him, which made him feel bad. You would soon soar the alchemy path like a breeze, so there is no need to call me master. Alchemist Highwood smiled and replied as if he didn't mind the seniority. All right, teacher, how long you think I would take to learn your alchemy skills? Davis asked in doubt, as he really wanted to learn alchemy as quickly as possible. Alchemist Highwood thought for a moment before answering his question. 1 year. 1 year would all you need to surpass me, if your talent is high in alchemy. If not, then 5 years at best. Ha, I'm glad that my son is recognized by your esteemed self, Alchemist Highwood. Logan laughed and joined in the conversation. If I handed over such a talent to the Alchemist Association, that would be such a sin. Alchemist Highwood said calmly, but he was glad to have Davis for himself. Certainly, Logan agreed with him. Prince Davis, let us get to the basics immediately. First, before practical, is theoretical. I want you to memorize all this as soon as possible before we try our hand in alchemy. Alchemist Highwood suddenly uttered as he took out a space ring from his space ring. Davis saw the space ring and thought, looks like he is eager to teach me too. He then took the space ring and quickly probed it with his soul sense. The contents of the space ring were books, all books, ranging from books recording information of herbs, pills, and treasures. There were also a lot of books on herb encyclopedia, pill creation process and techniques. The herb encyclopedia included information on the types of herbs, their characteristics, their variants, and even their general location. It also included on how to pluck the herbs without damaging it, and the other features. One would have to know if they were aiming to be an alchemist. The pill creation process explained the process of creating pills with the herbs and treasures, while the pill creation techniques explained how to create a pill using the certain technique. There were more than 100,000 books that contained a lot of information. If a mortal were to complete reading these books, it was unknown how long would it take for them to complete it. Seeing the huge amount of books in the space ring, Davis's eye twitched. I thought so. I have to absorb a lot of basic information about herbs and pill making. Davis had originally planned on reaching the 4th stage in body tempering cultivation, and the 3rd stage in essence gathering cultivation in a year, but it seemed like he would not be able to achieve it now without much hard work. I thank the teacher for his guidance. Davis bowed. Don't fret it. These are all just the information on herbs and pills which are of mortal and earth grade. Once you're finished with that, come to me. I'll test you. If you pass, then I'll hand over my entire inheritance to you. Alchemist Highwood replied with fervor. He was actually honored to have Davis as his student, because Davis would reach greater heights than him soon enough. Thank you, Teacher Highwood, Davis said with gratitude. Haha, that's just my alchemist title. Don't call me that, my name is Kevin Wood. Alchemist Highwood laughed. All right, Teacher Kevin. Davis smiled but was a little irritated by the number of books that he would have to read. Haha, don't disappoint your teacher, Davis. Make sure to learn properly. Logan then left him with a mocking smile on his face. And where do you think you're going, my emperor? Suddenly, a female voice could be heard, but as it was familiar to Davis and Logan, they quickly recognized it. Davis had a gloating expression, while Logan's face went pale. Alchemist Highwood, I hope that you also teach our emperor about alchemy. The royal family will then be indebted to you. Claire clasped her hands and bowed. Emperor Laureate doesn't know alchemy. Kevin Wood turned to face Logan in shock. Logan had an embarrassed expression on his face. Don't worry, Empress. What is one more student to me? I'll easily make the Emperor learn about alchemy." Kevin Wood said as he looked at Logan with a weird expression. "I thank Alchemist Highwood for his understanding. I bid farewell then," Claire said as she left while glaring at Logan. Davis and Kevin Wood then looked at Logan with pity in their eyes. Asterisk cough asterisk well then, it looks like I am also one of your students, Teacher Kevin, Logan said as he accepted Kevin Wood as his teacher indirectly. "Ha ha ha, call me senior brother, Daddy." Davis couldn't hold his laughter in. "Scram!" Logan shouted in embarrassment. Kevin Wood was speechless. After that, Davis went to visit his mom. "Mom, how have you been?" Davis asked. In this week he went to meet her a lot of times. "What is this? You come here almost every day now. Why are you suddenly worried about me?" Claire was surprised before noticing that he was acting strangely nowadays. That," Davis mumbled. Asterisk sigh asterisk did your father tell you?" Claire's expression looked forlorn. Davis avoided her eyes before saying, "Yes, do you now hate me?" Claire asked wryly as she looked at her son moving his gaze away. "Impossible. I would never hate you." Davis screamed at her as felt sad in his heart. "Mom, so what if you're an outsider? Even I am like a part outsider. You are my mother for all I care. That doesn't matter at all. I promise that I will remove that lousy seal from your soul. Just you wait," Davis yelled as he told his heartfelt emotions. "My child, I'm so proud of you." Claire hugged Davis as she felt warm in her heart. She abandoned returning to her place just for Logan. She abandoned her marital career just for him. She abandoned everything and followed her love. She didn't regret her decision until Logan hid her only child away for 3 years. Every day without him was hell for her. Her cultivation stagnated. Thoughts went into disarray as she almost started hating Logan. And then her son returned. That moment when she saw a scrawny kid in the royal castle, she almost immediately knew that he was her son. At that moment, all her regrets and dissatisfaction flew away from her like a kite with its string cut. She showered him with love and care, even pampered him a lot. And now she felt that he has grown up so much that she can now finally rely on him. She was feeling totally content with her life now. Her only regret was her martial career and her close ones who were on the other side. But for her love and family, she now felt that everything she did before was worth it. No matter what, I would protect her at all costs, Davis vowed to himself. "Sorry, Davis, it's just that. Mom has just lost too many things and not in one way would I want to lose you too." Claire smiled. Her smile was like an autumn breeze to him. Davis said softly, "It's okay, Mom. I'll always be your ally." Asterisk sigh asterisk anything that is related to that entrance in my home. I will not be able to say it. She felt sad for not being able to help her son. She knew that he was going to participate in the Grand Sea Continent meet, as Logan came to convince her beforehand. "I know," Dad told. Davis shook his head, indicating that she shouldn't bother about it. Claire nodded her head as she felt gratified once again. "Then should Mom help you get together with that woman you like?" "Evelyn, was it?" Claire then teased her son. "Mom, how did you know?" Davis was dumbfounded before yelling in embarrassment. "It was Elia, wasn't it?" Davis said as he grit his teeth. Seeing that his mom didn't refute it, he got even more annoyed. He then realized that, since she was bought by his mother, then she must have been made to report about him to his mother once in a while. "Oh, looks like I have to bully here even more," Davis thought as he smiled sadistically in his mind. "You like her too, don't you?" Claire smilingly asked. Hearing that, Davis was startled before he remembered the scene when he got so close to Elia's face while she was cultivating. His face involuntarily turned slightly red. "Looks like I was right." Claire laughed gently as she pinched her son's cheeks. "Mom, cut it out." Davis said that as he was really embarrassed. "You didn't think I would know. You are my son, how could I not know what you are thinking? The way you treat her, it is so obvious." "Of course, I treat her like my friend," Davis said with a straight face as he tried to hide his embarrassment. Claire giggled, "Yeah, a friend. That said, I want you to concentrate on your alchemy for now. It will incredibly be helpful in your future." Claire's tone changed as she spoke seriously. Davis nodded as he knew that she was talking about his venture into the outside world in the near future. And also, don't cultivate to the third stage of essence gathering cultivation. Don't ask me anything, just trust your mom. All right, Davis said, as he couldn't understand why his mom forbids him from cultivating to the third stage. But since it was his mother who told him, he chose to trust her. Suddenly a cute voice sounded out, "Oog, brother, hug." Davis and Claire looked towards Diana, who was just sleeping before. Beside her was Edward, who was sleeping as well. "Looks like she woke up," Claire said as she smiled. "Awa, come here, you sweet girl," Davis said as he lifted her up and held in his arms. Diana was just 2 years old. She looked chubby and cute. Diana, who just woke up, went to sleep right after, using her brother's shoulder as her pillow. After that, Claire and Davis engaged in some small talk as time passed by before he left some time later. 3 months passed. Dead End disappeared from the Dark Earth organization. Everyone either thought that he was killed or escaped from the clutches of the Emperor. Davis mostly concentrated on building his alchemy knowledge during this time. He almost finished 70% of the books he was told to learn. He was this fast because his soul was 5 times as powerful. When Kevin Wood measured him, he didn't know how powerful his soul was, as he could only tell his actual cultivation. Now, for a few days, he couldn't concentrate no matter how he tried. His mind was worried about the matter of Evelyn, so he made up his mind to visit her today. He tried to visit her before, but she stayed in her manor for a long time, rendering him incapable of visiting her. Now she was currently in the Caldun pill store, so he knew that this was his chance. He knew all this because he had his sources as a prince of an empire. Many people would fall at his feet and get in his good books if it meant that they could rise in rank and position. He arrived at the Caldun Emporium with his entourage during the day. He went inside the Caldun pill store with Elia and notified Evelyn about his entry using the manager. Manager George Caldun was with him too, as Davis openly came to the Caldun Emporium. He had no choice but to accompany him, as his status was way above him. Evelyn entered the hall and met Davis. She smiled as she knew that he will clearly come to visit her once she returned to this place. "Haha, I see that the prince specifically came to visit our young mistress." George Caldun laughed. "If you see that, then why are you still here, Manager George?" Davis gave a side glance as he spoke. "Haha, then I shall not disturb the young ones. I will take my leave then." George Caldun didn't get offended as he clearly knew his position and was a business-minded person. He clearly knew how to deal with certain people. He then left. "Let's not talk here, follow me," Evelyn said as she turned around and started walking to her room. "Okay," Davis said as he followed her. His eyes stuck to her swaying butt, which was perky. Evelyn walked seductively as she smiled. She could feel his gaze. Unknowingly, she felt good teasing him. When they arrived at her room, he and she went inside while Elia and Maisie stood outside. HMPH, that swaying, seductive movements of her. No matter how you see it, she is clearly seducing him. Elia's expression was one of indifference, but she was boiling with anger and jealousy inside. She wished that she could save Davis from that vixen and chop her to pieces. She thought that as she looked down at her non-existent chest. "It will grow as big as that, won't it?" Her face was one of worry. "Nothing could be said about last time. It was my fault, so I apologize for throwing a tantrum when you put in all that effort to meet me last time," Evelyn suddenly said as she turned her head back to look at him and bowed. Davis was astonished to see a woman apologize for her mistake. He heard that most women don't apologize for their mistakes in his previous life. "I knew it. Looks like that it was a deception painted by the people who lurk on the internet," he thought. "But you were also in the wrong for hitting my weak spot," Evelyn said as she pouted. "All right. Looks like the denizens of the internet were right. Haha, as you said. I was also in the wrong to carelessly speak about a topic which you don't clearly like, Miss Evelyn," Davis said as he clasped his hands. "I apologize as well." After that, they exchanged some pleasantries as they sat at a table. They were now both happy that they were able to talk freely with one and another. "I heard that your family announced that you would participate in the Grand Sea Continent meet. Evelyn was interested in that topic, as she wanted to know why he would participate in it with his measly cultivation of the first stage in both cultivation systems. Could it be that he has achieved the second stage in both cultivation systems? She guessed. Miss Evelyn. It was my father who made me participate in it. As for whether I will be able to get into top 200, we will see it at that time. Davis grinned as he spoke vaguely. You've sure got guts. Looks like I should hasten my cultivation as well. I haven't made any improvements since then, but I can feel that I am close to reaching the revolving core stage. She clenched her fists as she said that. Sigh, that said. It was my incompetence which made me a failure in cultivation. Evelyn couldn't help but think that her talent was average or even subpar at some times, which makes her sad. Davis narrowed eyes and said, "Please don't take that to heart. You will eventually be able." As he said that, his thoughts moved to what his mom said. He suddenly thought of an idea to curb her from cultivating in a moment of desperation, which might ultimately lead to cultivation deviation. I don't know if it's what I think it is. So please don't continue cultivating to reach the revolving core stage," Davis said as he tried to choose his words carefully. What? Evelyn felt like she didn't understand his words clearly. He asked me to not cultivate. She suddenly felt that he was mocking her again before immediately pushing that thought away, then calmed down after she thought. The way he said it doesn't seem to be the case. Why? Evelyn asked as she couldn't understand. Davis was thinking the right words to make his message clear but couldn't, since he wasn't sure of what his mom tried to convey exactly at that time. Then he thought if he couldn't use the right words, then he should use the right actions to make her not cultivate for the time being. Anyway, she is going to be my wife. Why hesitate? Davis thought shamelessly as he held her hand suddenly while he stood up. Don't be surprised, Miss Evelyn. He warned her almost immediately. Evelyn was surprised totally as she felt her hands being held by him, and went bright red as she heard him warning her. Her thoughts went into disarray as she hurriedly thought of multiple possibilities, but stopped as she felt a slight tingling sensation in her hands. This is the energy of peak-level energy condensation stage. Evelyn was shocked as she stood up. Her eyes went wide at him as she looked at him like she was looking at a ghost. Yes, it's just as you think. This is the reason for my father's confidence in me, Davis slowly stated. Evelyn nodded, still looking at him with a dumbfounded expression. What does that have to do with me not cultivating to the revolving core stage? But she asked in doubt. For some reason, my mother forbid me from cultivating to the revolving core stage. She is my mother, and I know that she wishes the best for me in everything. That's why I chose to believe her and stop cultivating to the revolving core stage. You mean that? She said it with an incredulous expression on her face. Davis nodded his head solemnly and said, "It is possible that the revolving core stage in our continent is either incomplete or there are still some more enhancements to it." In Evelyn's ears, what he said echoed as rumbling thunder to her. Why are you saying this to me? What if I leak this information to my family? Are you not afraid of it? She asked unbelievingly. Which prince would tell his family secrets like to even his lover? Evelyn thought incredulously. She couldn't help but think that she got involved in some serious business. Then I can only blame myself for treating you like a trusted person. Let me just tell you that I like you so much, not love you. If you betray my trust, then the best case would be that I would leave you for good. The worst case would be that I would kill you and my feelings for you in my heart as well," Davis said, that with a hurt expression on his face. He knew that words once said couldn't be taken back. A determined expression appeared on his face. The worst for me would be that I would carry some heart demons, but even so, I won't hesitate to do what I said. Her heart palpitated as a weird feeling came over her heart. She didn't feel offended, as she knew what consequences there would be for betraying the trust of a person, especially a person of high status. Even she couldn't handle it if someone betrayed her for some reason. Evelyn asked as her eyes glazed, "You trust me?" "I do." Davis looked at her eyes and replied solemnly. She bit her lips. "Do you love me?" "I want to, but I believe we are not in that stage yet." He shook his head. "I see." Her face went into contemplation as she pulled her hand back. It was unknown whether she was happy or sad, as her facial expression was hard to read. "I've decided to guard your trust, and I've come to a decision." "What is it?" Davis asked in anticipation. "I've decided to participate in the Grand Sea Continent meet as well. If you can beat me, then I will become yours in both heart and soul," Evelyn said with a determined face. Davis's eyes went wide in astonishment. "You mean that? I won't go back on my word." Davis clenched his hands in excitement as his face shone with enthusiasm. The matter of this marriage was pretty much a done deal now, or so he thought. Poor Evelyn didn't know that he also body cultivated to the peak of the 3rd stage. If she knew, then she would have vomited blood. She thought that since he achieved peak-level energy condensation stage, then he wouldn't have had the time to cultivate in body-tempering cultivation. Even if he had time, he couldn't have possibly reached the 2nd stage in body-tempering cultivation. Since it involves immense pain, children won't have the fortitude to cultivate body-tempering cultivation. This was common sense among the people of this continent. There were a few exceptions, but they were all children with beast bloodlines. She planned to cultivate to the 3rd stage of the body-tempering cultivation in the remaining few months, as she had the confidence and resources to do that. She determined herself to withstand the pain, which she might obviously experience, so she boldly proposed the deal to him with guts. "Even if I lose, it's not like I'm losing anything," she thought as she sneered inside. "All right, you can go out now," Evelyn shouted as she grinned. Davis was dumbfounded at her change. "Aren't you the one who said we should talk equally, putting aside our statuses? Besides, we are competing now." Davis now understood as he clapped once. "Good. I'll go to the Grand Sea Continent meet and get myself an Evelyn." "You?" Evelyn's face went red as a beet. "What? You're the one who accepted us as being equals and competitors." Laughing out loudly, Davis left with grand strides. After a few moments of silence, Evelyn's face was still red as she blushed so hard at his declaration. How did I pledge myself to this shameless prince? This was a question which she wanted to know the answer for herself. 6 months passed. Davis successfully learned alchemy during this period. In terms of knowledge, he is currently even on par with mid-level sky-grade alchemists. Even his teacher, Kevin Wood, acknowledged him for his ability to recall the things he has learned. Kevin Wood was completely gratified with his student. Unfortunately for his practical lessons, like creating a pill, Davis had no time or luxuries for that, so he wasn't able to teach, and Davis wouldn't be able to make a single pill even if he tried his hand without prior experience. He decided that he will come back from the Grand Sea Continent meet to learn to make pills. During this time, he successfully entered the 4th stage of the body-tempering cultivation, silver stage. Even without his soul forging cultivation, he felt that he could crush his competitors with his body-tempering cultivation. He improved his fighting skills with Hendrickson during the last month. He is now able to use a spear proficiently. Although his skill isn't that great, he is able to harness a power of 100,000 kilogram strength to crush his opponents, and that's only with his normal strength. Since he has the tyrant physique, he can harness 200,000 kilogram strength, which can easily suppress low-level silver stage cultivators, and go toe-to-toe with a mid-level silver stage cultivator. It was now time for him to leave the royal capital and head towards the Grand Sea Continent meet, which was being held at the center of the continent. Davis and Logan bid farewell to their family and journeyed to the center of the continent. Actually, Lauret Empire was the closest to the center of the continent, so they were the ones to journey later than anyone else. The center of the continent was a sea, and it was named the Grand Sea, so the continent was named after it, as well as no one conquered the continent from ancient times. The Grand Sea was 100,000 km long, filled with sea beasts that are at the 3rd stage. Even 4th stage and 5th stage beasts reside there, but are wary of humans and won't generally attack during this time because, after a beast enters the 4th stage, spirit beast stage, they gain sentience. Some beasts even have the ability to gain human form when they reach the spirit beast stage. But sadly, this continent hadn't seen one yet. There are a lot of islands in the Grand Sea. The competition will be held in any one of the islands in the Grand Sea. Logan, Davis, and a lot of others who were going to participate in the Grand Sea continent meet departed in a sky-grade ship, which was impervious to the attacks of third-stage sea beasts. The ship was 2 km long and 10 stories tall. It was able to house 1 million people for the voyage. It wasn't luxurious, as it was quite crowded. People shared their rooms together, but the people of high statuses had their own rooms assigned to them. Though it was impervious, it was quite slow as well. Wow, so many people, Davis shouted at the sight of it. He was standing near the deck. He had his own room as well. He stayed there with Elia. Elia was also participating in the Grand Sea continent meet, as she was encouraged by Davis to do so. This ship housed 1 million youths from the whole of Lauret Empire, as they were going to participate in the Grand Sea continent meet. Sometimes there are a few itinerant cultivators who are able to earn a spot in the top 200. So with hope in their minds, millions of youths travel from every empire to the Grand Sea continent meet. Even if they can't get into the top 200, there wasn't a problem for them at all. As long as they enter the top 100, their lives would be pretty much settled, as various powers would invite them as honorary members or elders. Haha, this is always a sight to see. Actually, when I went to participate in the Grand Sea continent meet last time, there were more people than this. Logan frowned. Maybe it's because they think that we will lose face during this Grand Sea continent meet, no? Davis asked. Might be, but alas, they will miss the legend of an era. Logan grinned as he said. They both then looked at each other as they laughed together. It will only be a legend here, though. The world is huge after all, Davis commented after finishing his laugh. Logan contemplated his words before he said, that's a pessimistic view, but you're right. We shouldn't be narrow-minded and set our sights here. Instead, we should set our sights on the outside world. Speaking of the outside world, I wonder how huge it is. Davis thought as he looked at the sky. Who knows? It could be a world smaller than our continent for all we know. Logan grinned as he joked. Haha, our continent itself is massive, to say much less of the outside world. Davis laughed. I wonder how big our continent is. Elia, who was standing behind, questioned to herself as she heard their conversation. Davis, who heard that, looked at her and smiled as he said, our continent is around 600,000 km long, including the Grand Sea, which is almost 100,000 km long. That huge? Elia was visibly dumbfounded. She never left the royal capital, and her knowledge of the continent was very less compared to the royal family. Davis nodded his head. Yes, most of the territories are occupied by the sky-grade empires such as ourselves. For example, our Lauret Empire has many powers under its jurisdiction, such as the Alfred Kingdom, Maxwell Kingdom, and many other powers. I don't understand. Elia had a confused expression on her face. Davis sighed as he said, look, a sky-grade empire has various powers under its authority. Ours is an empire, so we have many kingdoms under our territory which have subordinated themselves to us, like the Alfred Kingdom. Not only that, sects, organizations, families are all under our subordination as well. Only other sky-grade powers, such as sky-grade sects and organization, can escape from our grasp if they stay in our territory, like the Piercing Dragon sect and Ruthless Sword sect. Oh, I get it. Her expression was one of understanding as she nodded her head like a rabbit. Good, are you prepared to compete in the Grand Sea continent meet? Davis laughed and questioned. I am. A determined expression appeared on her face as she said that. All right then, let's make your cultivation breakthrough to the iron stage. Davis held her shoulders as he said that. Yes, Elia nodded her head with renewed resolution. I want to be with you no matter what, she thought as her determination grew. 2 months passed as they voyaged through the Grand Sea to arrive at an island known as Gathering of the Elites, also known as Goat Island. Finally, we arrived after a long journey. Elia said as she stretched her small body. The heaven and earth energy here is dense. Davis commented as he tried to absorb the energy greedily. Of course, this is a formation set up by the Guardian Alliance. Its effects are as great as it could be. Logan, who was on the side, commented, but his face immediately turned solemn at the mention of the Guardian Alliance. All three of them were standing on the deck as they enjoyed the scenery of the island. The Guardian Alliance is the one who hosts this competition. They were the ones who mostly protect the continent from the invasion of the outsiders. One could join the Guardian Alliance if one can successfully break through to the 5th stage, at least in any one of the cultivation systems. Usually, on the surface, the Guardian Alliance doesn't interfere with the affairs of the continental struggle. If they move, then they will move secretly in the shadows to maintain their upright and moral image on the surface. So no one dares to offend the Guardian Alliance, afraid that they might be targeted secretly. Actually, even if someone wants to destroy or give trouble to them, then they can't, because it is the strongest alliance in the continent. Albeit, the alliance doesn't work together before the event. The Guardian Alliance only starts moving 5 years before the invasion. Until then, their members will be on standby. Logan's father was also a top member of the Guardian Alliance, but sadly, he died, leaving the Lauret Empire without any standing in the Guardian Alliance. This placed Logan on a tough position, as he couldn't do as he pleased during this visit. He had no backing here, after all. The other emperors were a part of the Guardian Alliance. They feared the Lauret Empire because of the unknown senior, but here, they could team up and strut around their might. Logan was worried about that, as he still hasn't joined the Guardian Alliance. Neither did he have the chance to do so, because other than having a 5th stage cultivation, one is required to have achievements in killing the outsiders during the invasion. Only after this upcoming invasion would he have the rights to join the Guardian Alliance. Guardian Alliance a group of hypocrites, Davis sneered. It is only their right. The strong grow stronger while the weak grow weaker. Logan shook his head. Father has a point, Davis replied as he looked at the Goat Island. He scanned the surrounding of the island with his naked eyes. There were a lot of ships carrying the symbol of each empire, docked in the middle of the ocean, near the island. Each ship was the same as their sky-grade ship. Looks like they arrived long ago, Davis muttered as he narrowed his eyes. Of course, some would have even arrived half a year early. Logan scoffed. What? Why would they? Elia yelled as she clearly couldn't understand why some empires would arrive half a year earlier. Because of the dense heaven and earth energy, Davis replied. Ah, I see. How stupid of me. Elia put her head down in shame. It's all right. You don't know much about the outside world. No need to be ashamed of yourself if you can't figure out something yourself. That is so simple for now. Remember, Elia, one step at a time, Davis said as he lectured her like a tutor. Logan, who was on the side, looked at the two of them weirdly. Is he the prince, or is she the princess? He thought amusingly. After they docked the ship near the island, some made their way to the Goat Island. They were all either powerful or people with high statuses. The Goat Island has a restriction that only people with high statuses or people with cultivation on the 4th stage are allowed inside. So the other youths who couldn't enter stayed in the ship till the start of the tournament. There were other islands near the Goat Island, but they were used for the preliminaries, so it was off limits to land near it. The Goat Island was quite small, as there was only an arena in the middle of the island. The island was only 5 km long, while the arena in the middle was 2 km long. Davis and the others made their way to the Goat Island in a small flying boat. So this where the final competition will be held? Davis asked as he put a calm and indifferent face. That's right, the preliminaries will be held in other islands, Logan said as he nodded his head. But you don't need to participate in the preliminaries, since you're from a sky-grade empire. Logan glanced at Elia and said in a frown, though your maid, Elia, needs to participate in the preliminaries. Hearing that, Davis frowned. As they talked, they arrived near the entrance of the arena. They got down from the boat, as they were greeted by certain people of high stature. After they exchanged some pleasantries, Logan and the others made their way inside the arena. When Davis got out of the entrance, he saw a massive field which contained 3 combat stages, each 500 m long. The 3 combat stages were surrounded by a huge bunch of audience who came to view the battle between the young elites. In the north end of the elevated audience area was the VIP area, where all the people of high statuses were seated. Logan looked at the north end and made his way there coolly as Davis and Elia followed him. Haha, long time no see, Emperor Lauret. I am sure you've done your best to uphold the honor of your empire. As he finally got there, Logan was greeted sarcastically by a middle-aged man who looked quite fat. Yes, this 15-year period was quite a hurdle for my Lauret empire. Emperor Ross. Logan sneered inside but didn't let it show on his face as he said indifferently. He clasped his hands as he said, I hope you had been all well during this time, Emperor Ross, Emperor Ashton, Emperor Claymore, and Emperor Ruth. His eyes scanned past the other 2 emperors, who looked at him coldly as he sat in his seat. He was burning with rage, but chose not to do anything here. There were 7 marvelous seats at the top of the arena. All the emperors arrived there and sat as they chatted with each other. Davis and Elia sat near them but not too close. They sat with other heaven-chosen elites of the various empires. Logan chose to ignore Emperor Tritor and Emperor Raven altogether, as the other party did the same. HMPH. You kid, you have the guts to say I had been well. Look at that daughter of mine, too arrogant. She didn't even spare me a glance and took away my position, as if it were a roadside vegetable which was ripe for the taking. Hearing that, all the other emperors laughed, including Davis. But the other elites didn't dare to laugh at his statement. The one who spoke was Emperor Mark Ruth. He was the emperor until Isabella Ruth took the throne away from him for her own empowerment. My condolences, Emperor Ruth, you had it hard. Logan perfunctorily replied, but he was laughing inside. Sigh, leave it. You had it harder than me. This 15-year period was a calamity to your empire. You have my condolences as well. Emperor Ruth said as he shook his head. Logan nodded his head and didn't say anything. Could it be? Then the rumors were true. Emperor Claymore asked incredulously as he narrowed his eyes. Yes, that little girl is in her own world, not listening to anyone's advice. She left on her own to the outside world. That girl, I hope she stays alive, Emperor Ruth said as his face turned grim. Even though she does not listen to his words, he still doted on her as she was his daughter and his pride. Various gasps could be seen in the place where the young elites of each empire sat. Their faces looked like they had been given a huge blow, but even so, some still stayed haughty and arrogant as they considered themselves to be of the junior generation. Even the emperors sighed in admiration to her extraordinary feat. Some were even extremely jealous. In the outside world, there are probably many powers which are extremely powerful than us. So I hope that something doesn't happen to your daughter that can be considered brutal. An eerie voice quipped from the side. Everyone turned to look at him. It was Emperor Tritor who uttered those words. Those words, what exactly do you mean? Emperor Ruth asked as his aura flared. Some were happy to see the spectacle, while few others frowned in displeasure. I meant exactly as I said. I hope that nothing happens to your daughter, Emperor Ruth. Emperor Tritor grinned hideously as he said those words. His words might sound appropriate, but everyone knew that he was wishing the opposite of what he said. Emperor Ruth gnashed his teeth in anger. Just when he going to do something, a voice echoed out. Leave it, Emperor Ruth. Some people just couldn't bear to see others climbing atop of their heads. Logan uttered as he said those words indifferently. Haha, nicely said, Emperor Lauret. Hearing that, Emperor Ruth laughed as he started to like this new emperor. Emperor Tritor narrowed his eyes and laughed suddenly. Bringing 2 kids to the VIP seats, even if they are of royal status, their cultivation is probably low that they don't deserve to be seated here. In fact, they do not even deserve to directly participate in the final competition. Emperor Lauret and Emperor Tritor glared at each other. A tense atmosphere started to whirl around the VIP seats. So what if they don't have enough cultivation level? As long as I'm here, if they want to directly participate, then they will be able to. Logan said overbearingly with an indifferent face. What gall! Are you disrespecting the Guardian Alliance? Emperor Raven raised his voice with a sneering tone. The other emperors didn't say anything as they knew that these three have a personal vendetta. Oh, who is that little girl near Prince Davis? I remember that your daughter should be only 5 or 6 years old. Emperor Tritor asked with a questioning tone. In fact, with his intelligence network, he already knew who this girl was. Elia, who heard that, shuddered. She wore a purple robe and her hair was tied up in a bun. But no matter who saw this, they quickly knew that her bearing was not one a royal family member. HMPH, that is my son's maid, just so you know. She will participate in the preliminaries. Logan replied in dissatisfaction. Then she has no business here. Lean, throw her out. Emperor Tritor sneered as he said indifferently. The other youths were also displeased about a maid sitting together with them. Which of them didn't have their own pride? Yes, a youth who supposedly belonged to the Tritor family stood up and looked at Elia with teasing eyes. He looked lean, and his eyes were sunken, as if he indulged in sexual pleasures all day long. Logan glared at him like a hawk eyeing its prey. Lean Tritor went speedily, not caring a little about the glaring eyes of Emperor Lorit as he had his backing near him. "Ha, little girl, it's not safe for you here. Let me take you outside and there." He stopped his words suddenly as he saw a little boy standing in front him, blocking his way to that little girl. That little boy wore black-robed clothes which might have made him look dashing in appearance if he was some years older. But now, it just made him look cute. He laughed and said, "Little Prince Davis, I don't want to hurt you. Could you please move aside?" Davis raised his face above as he looked at Lean and uttered a single word. Scram! Laughing sounds echoed from all sides. The young elites who were seated had a good laugh after hearing the words of Davis. He said, "Scram, scram, ha. Oh, my heavens, what a loss of face for Lean Tritor. I wouldn't stay here anymore if I were him. Does that kid even knows who he's dealing with?" Some mocked Davis while some mocked Lean. Lean's face turned green from hearing the mocking comments. "Brat, I'll give you one last chance. Move aside." Lean's face burned from being embarrassed as he shouted in fury, but he didn't dare to attack before giving a warning. "Fool, I'll say it again, SCRM." As Davis said those words slowly, even more laughing sounds erupted from the sides. "Brat, don't blame me for being ruthless." Lean clenched his fists and punched at Davis's face. Davis calmly looked at the incoming fist that he thought was so slow. He thought that he could have dodged at least 10 times during this period. Just when Lean's punch neared Davis's face, Davis moved his face slightly to the side as he dodged his punch with incredible timing. Looking at Davis, everybody was stunned. Davis wasn't afraid that his body tempering cultivation would be found out, because he knows that as long as he doesn't reveal his body's aura, there is no way that they can figure it out. He knew that they could only try to guess or probe. Just when Lean finished receiving his fist back, he felt himself flying through the audience seats as he fell down on the arena. Davis's fist was so fast that Lean didn't see it coming. Lean struggled to stand up as he tried his best. He felt as if his innards were coming out. Just when he stood up, he spat a mouthful of blood as he glared hatefully at Davis. "I'll kill you." Just when he lost his mind, he suddenly received a soul transmission from Emperor Tritor, which made him get back to his senses. "Looks like your son is the one who doesn't deserve to be in this place, Emperor Tritor." Emperor Ashton suddenly piped in as his eyes glowed. After all, seeing his son-in-law being highly talented, he thought that he should help him no matter what. "HMPH, my son might be somewhat lacking compared to this 10-year-old genius, but that maid still doesn't deserve her place here," Emperor Tritor said in displeasure. He felt that he had lost some face because of his son's incompetence. Suddenly, a stomping sound could be heard as all heads turned to look at the little boy. Davis was the one who stomped his legs to garner attention. He clasped his hands and said, "Emperors and young elites, I am Prince Davis and this is my maid, Elia. Targeting her is the same as targeting me. You should be beware of the consequences that might come around to your doorstep one day. That said, I and Elia are going to participate in the preliminaries to broaden our horizons even if you hadn't said anything, Emperor Tritor. So this whole time, I am very sorry to waste your nas breath on us. Davis said as he grinned. He had a mocking expression on his face. Insolent. Emperor Tritor's face went red in fury as he stood up. When had he, an emperor of high stature, had been reprimanded and mocked by a 10-year-old child? This was courting death. Many youths froze in horror, and some looked at the sight in admiration. They all thought, truly a newborn calf doesn't know the fear of the tiger. Emperor Lauret and Emperor Ashton hurriedly moved in front of Davis. What is the meaning of this, Emperor Ashton? Emperor Tritor asked in annoyance. There's no way I'm going to let you harm my son-in-law just because your opinion was not accepted by anyone. All right. There's no need to start a dispute just because of one maid. Emperor Ruth stood and said, Prince Davis, could I ask you to go to the preliminaries then? We will be starting the preliminaries tomorrow. So go gather at the east side of the island for now. Davis nodded his head as he could clearly see Emperor Ruth giving him a way out of this mess. And naturally, he wouldn't decline this offer as he didn't want to deal with a person who he can't currently handle without using his death note. His impression of Emperor Ashton also grew, but not much as he knew that it was a result of showing off his talent in the public. Then I will take my leave, everyone. Davis clasped his hands as he bowed perfunctorily. The pressure he was facing was offset by the two emperors who shielded him from Emperor Tritor. HMPH, thinking of running right after you picked a fight with me. Coward. Emperor Tritor wasn't ready to take this lying down. I wonder who was it that honestly got scared and turned tail after blatantly coming to destroy our empire? Davis asked as he questioned mockingly. You. Just when Emperor Tritor was going to make a move, a majestic aura spread as it surrounded the arena. Emperor Tritor, are you not going to show me some face? I've already said to stop, and you're still not stopping. Emperor Ruth said as he released his majestic aura. He was dressed in golden imperial robes which had flood dragon patterns. HMPH. Emperor Tritor said nothing as he sat down. He felt like torturing Davis for what he had done. One thing he couldn't understand was why Emperor Ruth would help the little kid. Let's go, Davis said as he left the arena with Elia. A lone girl with fiery red robes sat in exactly 6 m away from Davis. Her face was covered by a veil, but her eyes were fiery hot as she blinked. Her long hair was blazing red as she tied it up in a ponytail. The left half of her face was covered by bangs as she blew it upwards with her mouth. From the moment she saw him, she was analyzing him with scrutinizing eyes. What guts? Doesn't he understand that he will get killed silently somewhere down the road? Some youths were looking at her weirdly. She felt as if their looks were asking, is that kid your future husband? What are you looking at? Scram. Shirley shouted as she felt embarrassed by Davis. The other youths hurriedly turned their heads as they were somewhat afraid of her. All right, lads, you should learn from him. Look at his disposition, even daring go toe-to-toe with an emperor. A person of such caliber said that he is going to broaden his horizons. What are you all doing? Go participate in the preliminaries. Emperor Ashton sent a soul transmission to all who came with him to participate in the tournament. That's a drag. No way, we are not going. It will be a massacre if we go. Those plebeians won't even be able to stand before us. HMPH. The replies he got almost burst his head. These kids, he thought as he sighed. Shifting his soul transmission to a lone girl who wore fiery red robes, he said, Shirley, what do you think of him? What broaden his horizons? Won't he get killed before even he reaches his adulthood? Shirley Ashton said as she fumed. Emperor Lauret was with him, but Princess Davis' confidence doesn't clearly come from him. Emperor Ashton said as his face changed. He thought of a certain possibility but didn't dare to make sure of it. Isn't he a little too overbearing for his age? She asked in confusion. I think he has the power to back it up, although I'm not sure of it. Then we will see it when the competition ends. Shirley said as she looked forward to it. She was confident that she will get the first place during this Grand Sea Continent meet. Her temper is fiery when she speaks, but when she contemplates, her personality changes to a calm disposition. You could say that she just couldn't control her mouth, but could control her thoughts to a certain degree. After this, the emperors chatted as they spent their time leisurely. The young elites exchanged some pleasantries, and then went back to being silent as if it were none of their business. But there were some youths who actively went around greeting and making acquaintances with everyone. This arena was full of people with sky-grade powers on the north side, even various sect masters. Organization heads were present, but they chose not to interfere with the emperors. Instead, they either talked or argued with the people as same as them. A silhouette was running to the east of the island in a relaxed manner, albeit that silhouette was extremely fast. "Davis, wait for me." A girlish silhouette, which was frantically running with all it got, shouted atop of its lungs. Hearing that, the silhouette, who was Davis, slowed down and maintained a pace which matched Elia. "Why do you run so fast? Don't leave me behind." "Haha, sorry. This place is so fun to run freely. I couldn't help but loosen my constraints." These two were currently going through a forest. It was greenish with its calm and peaceful scenery, which was filled with life. "What if something happens? Then I won't be able to report to the emperor. Don't go running without me," Elia said as she tried to berate him. Davis, who was running in front of her, turned his body towards her as he kept moving behind. "Yes, my queen," he said as he bowed with one hand on his chest. Elia, who heard that, was stunned as her face blushed. He pretended to not notice her blush and turned front. He felt good to bully her, but didn't know that he was acting shamelessly. As a result, which only made Elia like him even more and more. After a moment passed, she calmed herself down and asked Davis, as she was curious about that matter, "Why didn't you let me fight that person? Even though I was kinda scared. I was sure that with my cultivation level that I could have taken him down." "You could have taken him down, but the consequences would have been different, as that Emperor Tritor would have straight away killed you, without giving any reason, as your status isn't high. So I had no choice but to make a move, as he can't kill me that easily." Hearing that, her face went pale, but she quickly calmed down as she shouted at him, "I swear that I'll get reliable like you. So please just help me grow stronger, Davis." Davis smiled and nodded at her. This was the first time she asked anything of herself to him. In the east end of the Goat Island, there were a huge amount of people, amounting to more than 1,000,000. There were also a large number of queues, in which the young cultivators lined up to get their tokens. "Seriously, I have never seen a queue this big before," a young man who looked quite naive uttered in an annoyed tone. "Me neither," a young girl who was behind the young man replied. "Hess, you don't know, but it would have been more of a humongous queue if everyone came to get their tokens at the same time." Suddenly, a random young cultivator piped in, trying to show off his knowledge to the young woman. "Brother, you mean?" Another young man who looked scrawny joined in on the conversation. "Yes, there are already more than 5 million contestants who have already got their own tokens," that random young cultivator replied. "Yeah, right. The other empires have already arrived here earlier after all." That scrawny young man nodded his head in understanding. Davis and Elia, who were passing over the people who lined up in the queues, heard a lot of conversations like this, which made it easier for them to understand what was going on. "Elia, did you hear that?" Elia replied as she digested the information she heard. Looks like there are 12 islands in which the preliminaries will take place. Not only that, but the island in which we will be assigned to will be decided by the tokens we draw, it seems. So there's a chance that we will be separated, huh?" Realization dawned on her face as she went sad. "Seems like it," Davis carelessly muttered and looked at her face. Seeing her sad expression, he comforted her. "Ha, don't be disheartened. It's not like we're going to separate forever." He then added, "Besides, we don't know if we are even going to be separated absolutely, so don't lose heart." "I hope that we are always together." Elias smiled and replied innocently without any ulterior meaning. Davis, who heard that, froze. Her smile was bright and pure combined with her words. She looked like an angel to Davis. He then hurriedly looked away as if he hadn't minded what she had said, but deep in his heart, It pretty much had a high impact on him. They both then lined up to queue for getting a token for the two of them. As they conversed, the two of them received weird looks from the start, as they seemed like two kids who were going on an excursion. Davis didn't pay any heed to their weird expressions, but Elia was visibly discomforted by their unwanted attention. Don't pay any heed to others, Elia. As a child who came to attend the Grand Sea Continent meet, you should be proud of yourself. Elia nodded her head as she put up a proud front. Davis laughed at her proud expression, which made her instantly embarrassed. After getting their 2 tokens, it was already night. They were almost the last participants to get their tokens. Why isn't there a writing on the token? How am I supposed to know which island to go to? Davis, who saw the token, couldn't help but question. Maybe the letters would appear magically. Elia replied in a joking tone. Suddenly, a solemn voice sounded out to the whole island from nowhere. The voice even sounded out a few more kilometers. As I have already said before, the letters on the token will reveal itself on the day of the preliminaries. We have decided to host the preliminaries tomorrow, so those who did not manage to get a token by today will be automatically disqualified. Hearing that, many youths who were in the ships or somewhere around the island hurriedly went to the east of the island to get their tokens. A powerful voice amplification formation. No, doesn't look like that. It probably is an additional feature of another formation. Davis thought as he couldn't figure out where the voice came from. Time passed by as morning finally came. No one bothered Davis and Elia, as they all thought that these kids came from some powerful family to broaden their horizons. Again, that solemn voice echoed in fervor. The time period for collecting your tokens is over. Anyone who failed to procure one will be disqualified automatically. Hearing that, the many youths who ran to get their tokens yesterday night like their lives depended on it, heaved a sigh of relief. Now, the letters in the token will reveal themselves in any moment now. Suddenly, Davis could sense an energy wave coming from a formation somewhere. He managed to pinpoint it, as the formation's energy came from the center of the island. Various transparent lights shot above from the middle of the island, which was invisible to almost 99% of the youths who came to participate in the preliminaries. Davis also saw those transparent lights as it came close to him at an extreme speed and collided with his token. This kind of situation happened to all the young cultivators who held a token in their hands. No matter if they were on a ship or somewhere far away from the island, those transparent lights successfully hit the tokens in their hands. Davis saw the transparent light transform into some words in the token, 5th Island, but for some reason, the token in his hands, which was originally white in color, suddenly converted to a red color. Elia, which island did you get? Davis then asked Elia. 5th Island. Davis heaved a sigh of relief and said, "We are on the same island, thankfully." Really? Elia clenched her fists in excitement as she almost jumped on him to hug, but chose not to as it would be considered rude. Yes, he. Davis laughed in a relieved tone. Actually, he was the one who was most afraid of separating from Elia, as there were many dangers here in the preliminaries. After all, it wasn't too difficult for a person to kill another person in this place. Somewhere on the island, a black-robed silhouette held a token in its hand which glowed red as it thought. 5th Island. Why is it red now? That silhouette then looked into the sky and thought, I wonder if he is in the arena, HMPH. I'll surely pass through this preliminaries and meet him there. It then returned to its teammates who were some few hundred meters away. That solemn voice then echoed again. Now for those of you got the 1st to 3rd Island tokens, head to the north end of the Goat Island and board the ship which carries you to your designated island. Next, for those of you got the 4th to 6th Island tokens, head to the east end of the Goat Island and board the ship which carries you to your designated island. Then, for those of you got the 7th to 9th Island tokens, head to the west end of the Goat Island and board the ship which carries you to your designated island. Finally, for those of you got the 10th to 12th Island tokens, head to the south end of the Goat Island and board the ship which carries you to your designated island. The rules will be explained once you reach your designated islands. The whole island was silent for a moment before some people scrambled to get to their destination. Davis, who was already on the east end of the island, laughed wryly while looking at the incoming ships. The ships docked on the shore as the participants began to board the ship in a hurried manner. Davis and Elia also casually boarded a ship, which was designated to go to the fifth island. Sometime later, that silhouette also boarded the same ship. The ships hosted about 1,000,000 youths each, which then set sail to their designated islands after a period of time. It was already noon by that time. The ships then reached their destination when it was almost night. It was starting to get dark when Davis and Elia arrived at the fifth island. The solemn voice echoed again to all the 12 islands. I shall explain the rules now. The tokens you have carries each 1 point. Some of you may have a red, blue, or green token. These tokens contain 100, 50, and 10 points respectively. These tokens are distributed randomly, and the one who possesses these tokens may have a head start from all of you, but it may also be a disadvantage if a weak cultivator possesses it. The preliminaries will go on for 10 days. Earn as many points as you can and distinguish yourself from the other cultivators. The top 100, 000 on the 11th day, will be qualified to participate in the second round of the Grand Sea Continent meet. The preliminaries will officially start in the midnight, so scatter throughout the island for the time being. Young cultivators of all the empires, the stage has been set for you to achieve your glory. The strong will advance, while the weak will lag behind. Your fate depends on your prowess, so if you don't want to lag behind the others, give it your all even if you have to die for it. As the voice echoed, all the youths were filled with renewed vigor. Davis, who heard that, couldn't give a shit about it, while Elia couldn't help but get nervous. So this is the fifth island, Elia muttered as she looked at the eerie forest from the shore. Stay with me, don't get lost though, Davis casually said as he yawned. He almost got bored by this tiring trip. They then headed into the forest. So did the other young cultivators. Many followed after them, as people thought that 2 kids were easy targets. But Davis and Elia managed to easily leave them behind with their speed. But some managed to follow them, but only by managing to use their full speed. Those people who followed them were astonished by the fact that these 2 kids were faster than them. That's right, Elia. If someone wants to take something away from you, don't let them get away with that. Just plunder them back. If they want your life, then take away their life. Don't leave anyone behind, as that might come to be fatal one day. Elia kept nodding her head as she learnt how to survive from him. There are about 8 people who are following us. When midnight starts, you will face them. Elia, who heard that, was astonished. She asked, You are not coming. I will be near you, but I won't help you. Since it's your first fight, depend on yourself. Win with your own power. All right, I will do as you say. She narrowed her eyes as she said. Faint fighting intent emitted from her eyes as she clenched her little fists. Davis had already measured their pursuer's strength, so he was confident that she should be able to handle it. Davis nodded his head in satisfaction. If she threw a tantrum right now, then he will have no choice but to give in, as he couldn't force her to do something that she doesn't want. Time passed as the chase continued through the forest. Davis even identified many mortal-grade herbs as he thought wryly. As I thought, looks like the high-grade herbs had already been cleared a long time ago. Just when it was about to become midnight, that solemn voice echoed again. Now, young participants, whether you rob or kill, work hard to accumulate your points, as your fate depends on it. I hereby declare the start of the preliminaries. It's time, Davis said as he disappeared from Elia's view. How did he do that? Elia widened her eyebrows at his disappearance. She hurriedly stopped at a place and climbed above a tree and stood upon its branch. The 8 youths arrived at that place and looked like they were searching for something. Shit, where did that little boy go? Haha, little missus. It will be better if you hand over your token. We don't want to hurt you after all. Look, even your friend who was with you got scared shitless and escaped. Yes, it would be better if you hand over your token. Then we'll be on our way. These 8 people teamed up to advance in the rankings and coincidentally also noticed Davis having a red token, which was why they decided to follow them. Elia, who heard that, managed to calm down, as their intent wasn't to kill her, but only rob. The 8 youths were clad in different armors and had different weapons, which made them look like a group of ragtag. Elia narrowed her eyes and shouted in a brave voice as she steadied herself, "If you want it, then come and take it from me. Haha, I admire your courage, but it wouldn't be wise to let go of our offer. Leave it. Everyone who participates here have their own backbone. You can't just expect them to hand it over. Then I'll take care of her." A youth with a spear on his back approached Elia. "I can do this," Elia thought as she readied herself. "Bullying a little kid isn't my hobby, but we are fighting with our lives on the line here. You can only blame yourself for stepping on this land." That youth who had a spear charged at her with open fists. It seemed like he had cultivation but no fist skills, as he was clearly clumsy with his fists. A spear user. He went easy on me, Elia thought as she jumped out of the branch. She aimed her fists at him and collided with each other. Bam arg. That youth was sent flying as he felt his bones crack in his arms. Hand over your token, now that you have been defeated. Elia threatened in a not-so-threatening tone. "Heh, little miss, did you forget that there were 7 of us left?" A voice echoed at the back of her head, which startled her greatly. She ducked her head down as suddenly a black sword cut the top of her hair. A little while she hurriedly moved away from her position. Elia, who was almost killed, was greatly angered as she looked at the scrawny youth who sneak attacked her. "Hawk, what are you doing?" A youth with a sword shouted. "She's just a little girl. Why are you aiming to kill her for?" Even the guy who had his fists broken shouted at him. "HMPH. You guys should just give up and go back to the ship. If you don't have enough resolve, just go back to your hometown." That scrawny youth who was called Hawk sneered in derision. A short handling of the little girl led to a confusion in the newly formed random team. They exchanged back arguments as they decided what to do with her. After all, every team here was either formed way before or after this preliminary started. "He's right. If you don't have enough resolve, then you guys should just hand over your tokens and leave." That's right. The situation went out of hand as an internal fight broke out among them while they argued whether to kill her or not. Out of the 8 individuals who pursued them, it was only that youth who had a sword and the youth who had a spear outright denied to kill her. Elia, who watched that, felt an emotion wash over her as she laughed at herself in derision as she thought, "How lamentable. They're fighting over whether to kill me or not, as if I am a savage beast. So this is what Davis, my prince, meant by that he is weak, even when he is so strong. This is why he told me to make myself stronger, so that there will be none who could control my fate by then." You, the scrawny youth who argued with the youth with the sword, suddenly had his heart pierced as electricity ran through him, like a snake that was bent on devouring the innards of its prey. Elia looked up at him in indifference as she thought of him as an ant. That scrawny youth's eyes went red as he collapsed, while his heart corroded as it let out a charred smell. "Kill her?" The 2 youths who supported her froze, while the other 5 youths who were clad in different armors surrounded as they charged at her in all directions. Elia looked at her surrounding calmly, as if she weren't the one who was targeted anymore. She looked like a bystander who was calmly watching an ongoing battle. Her eyes looked indifferent to her surroundings as she cast a technique. "Lightning storm." She lightly muttered to herself as she looked at those 2 youths who shielded in a different light. Suddenly, thick lines of lightning, tinged with a light black color, erupted from her body as it flew to the youths who charged at her in a zigzag motion. "Hurry, dodge." A youth shouted in horror as he saw that lightning approach him like a snake. But alas, the lightning discharged by Elia was faster than them, resulting in the black lightning hitting them with a crackling sound. Lightning covered them as they were burnt like a pig, while a charred smell wafted in the air. The 2 youths who supported Elia froze in fear as if they saw a ghost, their face pale as snow. "Hand over the tokens and leave." Those 2 youths who heard that threw over their tokens hurriedly and ran away with their lives pathetically, as if they were granted an amnesty for a great crime they had committed before. "Davis, I won. Look, Elia shouted as she turned jubilant while she collected the tokens from their tokens, as if nothing of importance happened a moment ago. Just when she collected the last of the 8 tokens, she collapsed on the grass as if she was exhausted. But just when she was going to fall on the grass, a hand extended around her waist and supported her from falling. A few minutes ago, Davis looked at the confrontation in utter concentration, as he couldn't let Elia die in front of him so easily, no matter what. 8 youths, let's see how she would handle this, Davis thought. He was on the branch where Elia had supposedly stood on before, watching the battle below with eyes wide open. He used his dark, concealing shroud art to make himself invisible to the people below. In fact, even all the people in this preliminary couldn't see through his cloaking. Even if he stood beside them and acted like a clown, they wouldn't be able to notice. Davis saw Elia send a youth flying with her fists. Oh, looks like that youth is a bit okay, as he is not aiming for Elia's life. Guess I could spare him. Just when Davis thought like that, suddenly he noticed a scrawny youth get behind Elia as he lifted a dagger and slashed at her. Davis almost immediately launched himself at him, if it weren't for the stupid mistake the scrawny youth made when he arrived behind Elia. That idiot. I thank the heavens that he isn't an assassin. Davis's heart felt at ease when he looked at that scrawny youth speak before slashed at her. He was at least sure that Elia would have been able to dodge that with her skills as he had sparred with her before. Then he saw Elia dodge that slash as she hurriedly retreated when suddenly an internal fight broke out in the enemy team. What the hell? Davis couldn't hold his laughter, but his impression of those 2 youths who shielded Elia turned good. Suddenly, he could see Elia laugh weirdly as she moved to the scrawny youth in a second. Davis's eyes went wide as he saw her stab that scrawny youth's heart with her finger, while she had a calm and indifferent expression on her face. He gulped as he thought that was scary. He never saw this expression before. Had she killed a person before? He thought as he shook his head. He then saw those 5 youth who were ready to kill her, surround her in a bid to end her. Davis narrowed his eyes as he thought of making his move. He thought that Elia will panic as she had no battle experience before, but the sight before him made him stay his hand. He saw Elia cast the 2nd layer technique of the Extinction Lightning Judgment with a calm face, as she fried her opponents to crisp without any reaction. Davis's heart almost leapt out of his chest as he couldn't believe this scene. He thought that she turned into a person that he doesn't know of. Since when did she start killing people like cutting cabbages? He had this thought and hurriedly moved to spare those 2 youths who had supported her. He then saw Elia sparing those 2 youths, which then made him heave a sigh of relief. He thought as he ruefully smiled, "Haha, guess I jumped to conclusions. It was my fault. I brainwashed her too much about survival that she didn't even blink to kill her opponent." Davis then saw her call out to him as she collected the tokens one by one. Just when he was going to reveal himself, he saw her suddenly collapsing while he quickly moved to support her. Fuck, as I thought. Which human could possibly not be exhausted and pained mentally when they kill another living being for the first time? He thought, as he felt guilt in his heart, but quickly assured himself that it was a necessary process for her to stay alive, even if anything happens to him later on. After all, he couldn't be there for her every single time when something bad happens. A day passed while the participants either killed or robbed to get their hands on the tokens. At a place where there was a multitude of flora and a vibrant grassland filled with countless trees, 2 silhouettes could be seen as one was sleeping on the other one, who was sitting. These 2 silhouettes were Davis and Elia. What is this? Why is she still not waking up? Davis thought as he looked at her worriedly. It had been a day and still there was no sign of Elia waking up. Just when he thought of scouting his surroundings, he saw her eyelids gently tremble. Elia opened her eyes as she looked at Davis, who was looking at her intently. She then realized that she was given a lap pillow by Davis while she blushed visibly. "Good morning, Elia. Although it is night, he," said Davis as he greeted her in a warm tone. Elia quickly stood up while she involuntarily remembered about the event that took place earlier as she started to breathe heavily. "Calm down, Elia. What you did was correct. There's no need to be hard on yourself. It was for survival, and there was no helping it. Davis couldn't help but comfort her, seeing this sight. He originally thought that he shouldn't pry on this topic, as it might remind her of something unpleasant, but since she remembered, then he had no choice but to comfort her. Elia, who heard that, was visibly comforted, but she shook her head as if that wasn't the case. Davis couldn't get what she was trying to say. She then shook her head again and looked at him sadly as she bit her lips. "It's nothing, I was just too scared." Davis replied, "Anyone will be scared after their first experience of killing. No need to worry over that. In this world, we will probably get used to it." He thought to himself ruefully, but didn't say it to her as he thought that she should understand this herself. Elia nodded as she stayed silent. A few moments passed awkwardly before Davis suddenly remembered something he had to say to Elia. "Elia," just when the first day ended, that solemn voice made its entry again. It said that we will be able to see our ranks in our tokens, as well as the number of points we hold. While saying that, he took out his token as he inserted his energy into it. Fifth island name, position, 9046 970 points, 50. Oh, it also said that we could insert our names or alias into it. Davis then added, "Elia, check your token now." Elia nodded while she took out her token as she inserted her energy into it. Fifth island name, position, 11,446 330 points. 1. It says that I have only 1 point. Elia muttered in confusion. "Of course, you haven't still absorbed their tokens, have you?" Yes," Elia uttered as she gave the tokens she collected to Davis. "Hey, increase your points. Didn't you defeat them?" Davis refused it as she was the one who defeated them. "Okay," she muttered as she absorbed those 8 tokens. The 8 tokens then disintegrated, as if they didn't exist in the first place. Out of the 8 tokens, 2 tokens were green, 1 token was blue, while the other tokens were white. Fifth island name, position, 8,636 767 points, 76. "Now my points have increased to 76, said Elia as she looked at her token and had a sudden doubt. "But the name slot is empty." "Oh." That voice also said that we can use our energy to input our names or alias, Davis said as he looked at her in a meaningful way. "What?" I'm going to use an alias." Flicking his sleeves, Davis gave off an impeccable air, which seemed to imply that he had a grand alias in store for himself. Elia looked at him weirdly as she knew whenever he posed like this, there wouldn't be one good thing that would happen. She then ignored him and replied as she used her energy to input her name into the token. "Oh, I'll just use my name." Fifth island name, Elia position, 8,636 767 points, 76. She looked at the token in satisfaction and felt a little good, as though she managed to carve and leave her name in a monument. "So, what alias did you pick?" Even though Elia was not even the least bit looking forward to it, she was still a little curious. Not telling. Davis laughed. Days passed as Davis and Elia actively hunted for tokens. They killed whoever wanted to kill them, and robbed whoever only wanted to get their tokens. They did as they pleased and spared no one, even under any circumstance. As long as they felt some killing intent from their enemies, they won't hold back either. Davis made Elia do all the fighting, and as a result, her battle experience increased. Furthermore, she never got to be in a disadvantage during a battle, as she dual cultivated both body tempering and essence gathering systems. Elia faced more than 100 battles, and she collected more than 3,000 points. Meanwhile, Davis ran off to hunt whenever she had taken a break from her exhaustion from battling. He had also managed to gather 2,000 points as he made his way into the top 10. 000. People who had lost their tokens had no way to participate unless they rob a token from a participant and start from the beginning. So it doesn't matter how many points one collect. It was important to protect their own token as well. Once a person lost it, all the points that the person had collected will disappear, but it won't add to the one who absorbed the token. The one who absorbed will just get the point of the token that they have absorbed. It was the 5th day of the preliminaries. A black-robed silhouette, along with 5 young people, ran across the forest. They looked pretty happy as they checked their tokens. "Hey, look at this. My ranking is in the top 1,000. The youth who said that had a lush green hair tied up behind his neck. He looked suave and had a dashing presence around him. Not bad." The voice sounded out with a tone that can melt one's state of mind. "Haha, young mistress. It still doesn't compare to your ranking of getting into the top 100. Stop that. All the tokens that I absorbed were from the hard work of us all. Honestly, all of this should have gone to you, Kent." The 6 of them were none other than the Caldun family youths, who were sent to participate in the Grand Sea Continent meet. There were 2 women and 4 young men in this group. "It doesn't matter if my ranking is in the top 10 or top 100 in this preliminaries. This ranking will be of help to you when you marry into the Laureate family so that others won't look down on you." "Evelyn," Kent Caldun smiled and said, thank you all." Evelyn felt touched and replied in a heartfelt tone. She was wearing black robes to cover her identity from someone. Kent was a close cousin of Evelyn's. He was next in line to inherit the family head position since Evelyn was born as a girl. The other candidates don't quite measure up to him in cultivation, so they were no threat to him at all. The only threat to him was Evelyn. If someone had married her and got into the family, then he would lose his family head position. But to his luck, Evelyn got engaged to the prince, and she will marry him into the Laureate family, which clears the line for him to become the next head of the Caldun family. This made him feel content, so he had no qualms in helping Evelyn, who was his cousin, achieve a greater glory in the Grand Sea Continent meet. The Caldun family team was quite powerful that each of them could hold their own against a motley team of youths who were only out for the top 100,000 positions. Evelyn, who had a pretty low cultivation, rode on their coattails, as she didn't deem it necessary to use her own powers in this preliminaries. They chatted as they randomly went in a direction to encounter a team to battle and casually collect some tokens while they were at it. Suddenly, Evelyn froze as her team encountered 2 kids who were lone without any reinforcement. Her team also froze because they have seen these 2 kids before. "Well, isn't this a coincidence, my dear Evelyn?" An astonished voice drifted, breaking the silent atmosphere in this place. Davis was surprised to see her in this island. There were other 11 islands, which made his chances of meeting her were very low as well. Evelyn was dumbfounded to hear that he had found out her identity with just a glance. She felt that all that concealing her identity and strength had gone to waste. She removed her hood and replied calmly, "My Evelyn, I don't remember becoming yours." "Oh, you will, that matter. Are you up for it now?" Davis asked with a playful tone. "You sure you want to take me on?" she said as she released a grayish aura from her body. She has reached the iron stage." Kent and the others who saw Evelyn was visibly astonished at her cultivation. Evelyn said nothing as she revealed her cultivation proudly, expecting Davis to be astonished at this sight. Clap, Davis clapped, as he was genuinely happy for Evelyn, but he still said in a playful tone while he walked closer to her, "Congratulations on breaking through the iron stage. I'll happily take you on right now." Don't tell me his body cultivation reached the 3rd stage. Evelyn frowned as she saw his playful expression. Still, she walked forward as she readied herself for a battle. She couldn't possibly back out, even if she now knew that he was in the iron stage. "Make your move, Miss Evelyn," Davis said as he stood calmly, not bothering to pose for a battle at all. Evelyn, who saw that, sneered as she thought, what was I worried for? He is still a kid. Then, here I come." Evelyn shouted as she used a technique to muddle a person's thoughts with her aura. That shout traveled as it reached Davis's ears, that made him look a little disoriented. Evelyn hurriedly moved forward with elegant steps to hit him as soon as possible. She closed in on him and used her delicate palms to attack. Davis, who looked befuddled, suddenly dodged her palms as he caught her dainty wrists, which were soft, with his small hands. He then playfully smiled at her as he freed her wrists and moved back calmly. Whistle. Kent, who saw that, whistled in approval while Evelyn's face went red. She now knew that she was cheated, as he wasn't affected at all by her sonic technique. Again, this time she didn't use those support attacks and charged at him with her full speed and power. They then both exchanged fists, as the battle intensely erupted between them. But it was intense only for the onlookers and Evelyn, as she was fighting with her full strength, while Davis was visibly relaxed. A few moments passed by. Evelyn was visibly shaken as she felt herself tiring down with her fast-paced movements. But what made her truly shaken and tired was that Davis still didn't release his body cultivation aura, and was still fighting solely with his own bodily strength. The Cultivation family youths were visibly horrified at the sight of it. He is only 10 years old and has such strength. Does he have a beast bloodline? He will surely be able to rank in the top 10 of the Grand Sea continent meet. When such thoughts were running around the Cultivation family youths, Davis suddenly backed out and smiled wryly at her. "Miss Evelyn, can you give up? Why, you won't dare to attack a woman." Evelyn shouted at him as she knew that he was defending the whole time and hadn't made any moves on her at all. She now knew that she was no match for him, but still, she felt frustrated at the thought of giving up, so she continued attacking to save herself some face. She felt that she could give up if she was beaten up badly, but giving up before that made her think that it will be a stain on her life and ungraceful. "Haha, Miss Evelyn, it's not like I don't dare to hurt women. It's just that I don't dare to harm my future wife." "You, shameless?" Evelyn blushed as she felt her face burn but felt an unknown emotion in her heart. "HMPH, you tricked me, but I will keep my word," Evelyn said as she gritted her teeth in frustration. "Yes," Davis howled mentally in his mind, as if he had achieved a big dream. "I know that my future wife isn't a sore loser. I can always trust my instincts," Davis replied as he waved his sleeves. Suddenly she calmed down and smiled as if she was the one who achieved victory. "Whatever, keep bragging. Though I lost, it won't end here." What do you mean?" Davis narrowed his eyes as he continued. "Are you going to go back on your words, Miss Evelyn?" "No, I did say that I will give my heart and soul to you." She grinned playfully as she added, "But I never said that I will give my body to you." Davis widened his eyes in astonishment as he thought wryly, "This woman, she played with her words." He suddenly laughed, holding his stomach. Everyone thought he went insane, including Evelyn and Elia. Evelyn suddenly felt that she bullied this kid too much and was just going to comfort him when suddenly the Davis in her vision blurred and appeared right in front of her in an instant. Davis held her chin as his face went closer to her ear, while she momentarily froze as he whispered, "As long as your heart is with me, it's enough." Evelyn dumbfoundedly watched as he mystically disappeared along with Elia, while the whole Cultivation family was horrified at the fact that they lost sight of two kids who were not half the age of them. The whole Cultivation family team looked at Evelyn with envy and jealousy, especially the other woman who was in the team. She almost went insane as she thought why she didn't get to be born as the young mistress. Why did she get to marry this monstrous prince? Such a delicious deal. Who wouldn't want that? These kinds of thoughts ran through the Cultivation family youths. Kent Cultivation suddenly had a weird thought that if he were to be born as a woman, then he would do all in his power to fight with Evelyn. "Evelyn, looks like you did a great deed in your previous life to be able to be blessed with this kind of opportunity. I hope you have a great life, and don't forget about us too," Kent Cultivation said with a congratulating tone. The whole affair happened in front of everyone, so they were able to form their own theories about the matter both were talking about. Everyone congratulated her while Evelyn was dazed. She nodded her head absent-mindedly to their compliments and praise. Her head was still buzzing with those sweet words he whispered. Abruptly, she came out of her reverie and said in a calm tone, "I'm withdrawing."